and welcome to the Halas Hall Hangover. We are back, and us Bears fans, we're brown bagging it. How we doing today, everybody?
You didn't tell me we were going to do paper bags on our head, Sean. That's not good production.
It's a little surprise pop for our Chicago Bears that have left us hanging in the weeds once again after a wonderful performance against the New England Patriots.
Ugh.
Welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition, sponsored by River Street Tavern, the Chicago Bears recap show on the 4-Star Chicago Bears podcast. How we doing, Kyle? How we doing, Brandon? How we doing, Dustin?
Been better, Sean. Been better.
This team sucks. It's hard to watch. I just think here, I think we should take a moment of silence for this Bears season.
I agree. Let's all bow our heads in silence.
And now hopefully they fire Waldron.
Something's coming. Something is coming.
I do think, listening to Eberflus's thing today, I think something is coming. I don't know what, but something's coming, you know.
I think I almost lost my mind listening to Eberflus today. I mean, he's in the process of the process. He's not at that point in the process, so we're in the process of evaluating the process to figure out what the process is. That's where Eberflus is at, guys.
You ever heard of a circular definition? Because it does like 15 an interview.
What up, Kyle Harris?
What's up, Kyle?
Breaking news, Bruce.
Well, guys.
Thanks for joining us. Hit the like button, guys. Hit the subscribe.
I really don't know where to start with Matt Eberflus and his 29th loss in 43 games as the Bears head coach, man. It's been 23 drives since our last TD. This team doesn't score anymore. They have just faced two bottom 5 defenses, managed 12 points while getting sacked 15 times. They don't convert third downs. They can't stop the run anymore. To me, it's like the Bears team has just quit, plain and simple.
They converted one, Sean. They got 1 third down. Don't
hey! Yes.
Sean, I don't know if there's anything you can do about it, but there's some static.
There's some feedback on your mic, yeah.
There is?
A little bit, yep.
Oh, boy. Let me turn this volume down really quick.
It sounds decent from where you're at, but yeah, no, I mean.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, Eberflus deserves to be fired, but we all know this isn't going to happen because this organization, this is what we do, man. We don't fire these coaches, and this is what bad organizations do. They repeat the same process over and over, hoping for a different, improved result. And my biggest fear right now is that the detriment of this coaching staff is going to hamper the development of Caleb Williams.
It already is.
It is right now. Yes.
It already is. It's too late.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I mean, real quick, guys, I don't think we're going to spend a bunch of time talking about this Patriots game. I just want to go over the numbers real quick with you guys, and you guys get your reactions. I mean, we talked about before the Bears game that the Patriots were literally losing in every statistical category on offense and defense in the NFL. They literally were not beating an opponent in any statistical category, not one. Well, let's go over the numbers against the Chicago Bears this past Sunday. Total yards, Patriots 328, Bears 142. Passing yards, Pats 184, Bears 69. Rushing yards 144 to 73 Pats. Yards per play 5.4 to 2.4 Pats. First down 16 to 11 Pats. Third down efficiency 5 for 14 for the Pats. 1 for 14 for the Bears. Fourth down efficiency, 1 for 1 for the Pats, 2 for 4 for the Bears. Total plays, 61 for the Pats, 59 for the Bears. Sacks allowed, 1 for the Patriots, 9 for the Bears. Punts, 5 for the Patriots, 8 for the Bears. Oh, wait, the Patriots had more penalties than the Chicago Bears, 7-5. Interceptions.
Hey, we won something.
Yeah, we also won interceptions. They won time of possession 32-27. Once again, the Bears Caleb Williams was not responsible for turning the ball over. But, man, you guys, we just played the worst team in the NFL, and they didn't just beat us. They beat the shit out of us. So are the Bears the worst team in the NFL?
Yes. I said this last night when we were talking. Yes, they are. If you lose to the Patriots, who had the number 1 odds to get the number 1 overall pick going into that game, and and you can't even put up 6 points. You got 3 points against that team. You're the worst team in the NFL. It's not just that they lost to them, guys. It's how they lost to them. Allowing 9 sacks, allowing a guy who's a special teams ace to get a sack in the game, and they had a game plan to put him as a QB spy, and the Bears had no way to counteract it. Matt Eberflus got out coached by Gerard Mayo. Gerard Mayo was the best player for the Patriots on the field yesterday. He outcoached the shit out of Matt Eberflus. You sack Caleb Williams 9 times. Here's the stat that makes me say Eberflus needs to fire Waldron, or honestly, Eberflus shouldn't even have the choice to, because Eberflus should be fired and then Waldron should be fired. I don't think, it's up to Eberflus, I guess, but you drop your quarterback again back 39 times in this game. You run to running backs 17 times. 17 times you hand the ball to a running back. The week before that, it was 19, and it was a losing formula. You come out here this week and you run the ball to the running backs less in a game that was never out of hand until the fourth quarter?
Yeah, and you know what? You know what's funny about that? On ESPN 1000 before the game, I always listen to the pregame, all the pregame stuff on my way to Sean's house. And ESPN 1000, they literally asked him, it was the last question they asked Matt Eberflus before they started the kickoff. What do the Bears have to do to win this game? And he said, we have to run the ball and stop the run. That was his exact response.
Why aren't you doing it?
That was it. Yeah.
Why aren't you doing it?
The guy doesn't do anything he says he's going to do.
You have a makeshift offensive line. Let them move forward. Run the football. Simple, guy.
Really quick, let me do a mic check. How's it sounding?
You sound good, Sean.
It sounds better.
Perfect.
You sound good.
Vernon, are the Bears the worst team in the NFL?
No, I don't think they're the worst team in the NFL. I think their defense is still really good. I think
not good enough to overcome this offense.
I think the fact that other than that Cardinals game, guys, this defense still basically tells this offense, get 3 touchdowns, we'll win a football game. I mean,
19 points bail out. 19 points.
Got teams like Carolina, teams like the Giants, Jacksonville, who's now in a backup quarterback situation. I do think this. I think it only gets worse for sure. So is there a point in this season where the Bears are – is there a chance the Bears finish with a top 5 pick in the 2025 draft?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You think it gets worse than this?
Because
I can't take that.
Yes.
I can't take that. This
we're about to play some really quality football teams, Dustin. So yeah.
Well, that's my point. We just played the worst team and looked way
think
worse than them. How does it get worse than this?
And guys, it has to get worse before it gets better, no matter what, because your head coach is the guy. Your head coach is who he is, and that to me makes me question. Guys, Ryan Poles is responsible for that. Ryan Poles and Ryan Poles alone is responsible for the fact that this team is regressing from where it was in the offseason because he decided to stick with Matt Eberflus. So,
biggest mistake of his career.
Yeah, this. Like we've all said, it is just going to be a year wash. Now, I do think this. Shane Waldron has to be terminated. Not should he give away play calling, should he be fired? Like, he has to be fired. And this is not a scapegoat for Matt Eberflus, because Matt Eberflus is obviously just as bad as just as accountable as anybody. But he absolutely has to fire Waldron, guys, because he just doesn't seem to understand the difference in a rookie quarterback and the quarterbacks that he's coached prior to this. He doesn't get it. You cannot continue to do what you're doing. You are literally ruining a young quality talent in this league. I'm not going to tell you guys he's generational, but he looks pretty damn good to me. He's been pressured like over 40% of his plays, and he still hasn't turned the ball over in like 5 games. I mean, there's something good about this kid, man, but you have got to get somebody else to call plays who can at least run the ball. Is just going to at least.
Waldron doesn't understand football. You go into this game with your 2 starting tackles injured, not playing, and you drop back fucking 40 times. Waldron doesn't understand football. You had a makeshift offensive line, and you're asking your quarterback to go through those reads and try to hit deep passes when you haven't even established a quick passing game. He doesn't understand football. Am I the only one that's been checking their phone today constantly to see if there's a notification that Waldron got fired? Mm-hmm. Like I literally keep looking at my phone like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Refresh. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
Well, and the fact that it's taking them this long just to do anything at all, I'm not even saying fire Waldron, but say he's not the player this long, just shows how dysfunctional they are, because every other team in the NFL at this point on Monday would say, hey, we've decided that he's fired, or we've done this, it wouldn't take long at all after that performance. They should have just watched the film tape from yesterday.
They're not at that point in the process, Kyle. They're not at that
point. Can I say this real quick, guys? You look at these other teams. You look at this like the team we just played, Gerard Mayo. You look at a team like the Broncos, Sean Payton. You look at Dan Quinn. You look at these teams with these rookie quarterbacks, and they're winning football games. And like even the Patriots, who have no talent at all, are doing whatever it takes to make Drake May a better player. Like that game, there was no flashes there, right? They just made Drake May do the simplest things in football the entire game, right?
And they stuck with the run game.
And he put 19 points on the board. And the Bears are the only team with a rookie quarterback this year that just throws the hell out of the ball.
You know how many times the Patriots ran the running backs, guys? Do you know how many times the Patriots ran the running backs, handed the ball off?
25 times.
31. Last week, the Cardinals ran the ball to running backs 30 times.
This coordinator just doesn't understand a rookie quarterback. Listen, guys, Caleb Williams in 3 years from now, who knows? Maybe he's the player where it's like, man, 55% of the time, this guy better be throwing the damn ball. But right now, like Dustin said, if you understand football and you understand anything about this sport, right now is not the time to be asking this of Caleb Williams with one of the worst offensive lines in football. And on top of the fact that he's a rookie. You can't be throwing the ball 55 times a game. And Shane Waldron needs to be fired for that. Absolutely, because it's not one game or two game. Or
Shane Waldron needs to be fired in week 3.
It's the season. His average pass overrun is higher in the course of over the course of the entire season. He needs to be terminated for that.
Well, Kyle, I wanted to touch on something.
What's that?
I wanted to just touch on something Kyle said, because he brought up the fact that Eberflus had all this time to make a decision like this and still just jumbling his words into a bunch of nothingness. They pushed back the press conference today from 10:45 to 12:10 when Matt Eberflus finally got on, and he still had nothing. That's what he gave us, guys. He had a whole day to watch the film, do his coaches meetings in the morning, talk to Ryan Poles, do all of that. They gave him an extra hour and a half before that press conference. And that's what he came out and said. We're in the process. We're in the process of evaluating that.
Dustin, can I tell you something? As a lifelong Bears fan, that's our Chicago Bears, man. The entire process and operation is the opposite of what successful organizations do, man. It's just
so simple. It seems so simple and mind-blowing.
Well, can I ask you guys a question about something Vernon said? So Vernon said that basically Shane Waldron is using Caleb Williams like he's a seasoned veteran instead of like kind of baby steps into the NFL and treating him like a rookie. Do you think that that's because of that's who Shane Waldron is, or do you think that's because of
can I touch on that really
Caleb
quick,
Williams coming into the NFL? He was like, well, this guy's already Peyton Manning, so I don't have to do the baby steps. He's already. Everybody said he's going to be one of the best generational, different than everybody in the draft.
2.5 years to process, Aunt Mess says.
Here,
processing.
You know what? I'll be honest. It's the scheme he's running. If you're watching the plays, he's running similar depths of targets for all of his receivers. They're not coming back to the ball. The scheme that he's running is doing no favors towards the strengths of Caleb Williams. And I believe I said this last week. The OC's trying to make the guy fit his scheme instead of trying to fit him in a scheme that works for him.
So the answer
is the other players too. DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore.
Yeah, Sean.
Keenan Allen. He's not even using them to their strengths.
Sean, to your point, when they replayed those sacks, okay? Because you're talking about because I was sending you guys this in text. He was running, it was a two hitch, right? So he was 5-stepping most of the time. When he was getting sacked, almost every target on the field had their back turned to Caleb Williams because they hadn't even made a break. They hadn't even made a break on their route. So we can talk about this guy not running the football, which he's done this entire season. He's not even scheming a quick release passing game for this quarterback, which I believe Thomas Brown, a guy who's coached a rookie, and Bryce Young, who is not nearly as talented as Caleb Williams, Thomas Brown will do something to get the ball out of this guy's hands. Kyle. He absolutely will. And with the talent you have on this team, it's easy.
Kyle, Let me answer that, because Kyle asked the question in a way of like, is Waldron doing this because of him just being stubborn or because of all the hype basically that Caleb Williams had coming out, right?
Mhm.
Is that correct in how you were asking that question, Kyle?
100%.
In my mind, if I'm a head coach, I don't let that be decided for me based on the hype around someone or everyone's telling me this guy is so good. You got to see him in practice, evaluate him, and not just him, guys. If you're the offensive coordinator, you're in control of the entire offense. You have to see what your offensive line is capable of. You have to see what your running backs are. You have to evaluate all of that and then put together a game plan that builds on the strengths and minimizes the weaknesses. So if Shane Waldron, just to answer your question, Kyle, if Shane Waldron's making those decisions and how he approaches these game plans based on what he thinks Caleb Williams could be versus what he sees in practice every day before the game, then he should be fired too, because that's not the way to evaluate. What do you think, Kyle? I don't think that's the way you should evaluate a quarterback and set up a game plan. I don't think so.
I think he's stubborn. I think he came in here with he's used this game plan for years. This is what's worked for him. And then he came here and just implemented it here. He did exactly what you're saying. He didn't evaluate this team. He didn't look to see where do I think Caleb Williams is in his development in the preseason. Is he getting better every game, every week, every month? Is it going to take him a little while? Is there a learning curve? He didn't do any of that shit. He basically came in and was like, well, this is what I ran with the Seahawks. It worked. It's coming here, but it's not working. Whatever they're doing, you guys, we just lost to the worst team in the NFL. And like I said, it wasn't even a game. We got our asses kicked, dude. We got absolutely, the Bears couldn't move the ball if you put a gun to their head. They couldn't even get in field goal range.
And he called the damn halfback draw on a 2-minute drill with no timeouts. Guys, even if that play is
there's no way I can believe that Waldron.
Let's say you don't lose yards, which you did. Let's say you gain 4 yards on that play. You have no timeouts, and you have like 1 minute and 48 seconds to start the drive. You called that in the middle. What are you doing? The only advantage of the time running out on you in the NFL is that a bad passing play stops the damn clock. A bad running play destroys your chances of success.
We got a new person in the chat, guys. I've never seen this name before. Slick Sophistication.
What's going on, buddy?
He says Poles either can't do his job or is an arrogant coward. We appreciate your comments, man. Keep that energy this whole show. Keep posting stuff. We'll talk about it. Hit that like, hit that subscribe.
Hey guys,
tell a friend.
I got a question for you really quick. You watched Drake May yesterday. He kept the Patriots in that game. He has a terrible O-line. He has no wide receivers. He has an awful head coach. I'm not saying, hey, it's Caleb Williams' fault at all.
Hey, hold on, Sean. If you watched Gerard Mayo yesterday, he looked like Lombardi. Coaching the kids, Matt.
Right. But in a general week,
dude, you look at the teams.
He's not that good.
You look at the teams.
So
he's not a terrible head coach.
I'm personally not a fan of Gerard Mayo at all. I'm not. So
okay.
I we'll see how he progresses in his career. We'll see. But right now, I'm not a fan.
So watching that game yesterday with Gerard Mayo.
Doesn't he have as many wins as they did last year?
Well, he's now beating the Bengals, the Jets, and the Bears. Now, I'm not saying those are the best teams in the NFL, but as of 3 weeks ago, all those teams were considered to be competitive teams in football, and he beat all 3 of them.
Sean, do you remember your question, or did we?
I just wanted to ask. I just wanted to ask. We're seeing this again. You know, we saw it with Justin Fields, Mitch Trubisky, Jay Cutler, now Caleb Williams. Were they all the wrong guys, or is this just a dysfunctional system and we're never going to have a quarterback until the McCaskies are gone and the organization is switched? I mean, I'm trying to figure this out.
Sean, let me ask you this then, and for all 3 of you guys, especially since Slick just brought this up. You know the McCaskies aren't going anywhere, right? We all know that. They're not going to sell the team. It makes money. It prints money. This is a huge business. Sure. That's why people are always like, why don't any NFL or NBA or MLB franchises get sold more often? Well, because it's a money-making machine. That's why it doesn't get sold. So we know that's not going to change. So let me ask you guys, how far up the chain does it have to go? Does Ryan Poles have to be fired?
Yes.
We could sit here and go over all of his failures and successes right now. At the end of the day, should Ryan Poles be fired?
Kyle, I said this on Wednesday, and you disagreed with me. I told you he's been 50-50 at his job. In his position, you can't be 50-50. He hit on Brisker. He hit on Gordon. He hit on maybe Gervon Dexter, who looks to be coming and turning around. But go down as free agents. Go down as free agents. They suck. Give me a good lineman that he signed. You can't find one. What did he do in 22-23? He didn't rebuild this team. I guess he got us to a point.
He doubled down on Eberflus.
Here.
He doubled down on
this
Eberflus.
is the other thing. This is the other thing, Kyle, that we had a conversation about, because you said that you believed that it was not Poles' choice. Now, Eric Lambert is reporting right here that he was not strong-armed into this, that Poles had Flus's
Well, I mean, but
utmost confidence.
Sean, in that little snap right there, bring that back up. The word think and believe are used in every single paragraph in that.
Yeah, this is another person's opinion
I'm
without
just
the full scope of the story. Well, here, let me say this. Right, to your point, Sean, it's hard to be better than 50. If you're batting 50% as an NFL GM, you're doing pretty fucking good in my mind. Honestly, you can't be 100. It's impossible. There's gonna be busts. There's gonna be.
I'll give you franchises that don't miss in the draft ever, because they're successful every year.
Every franchise misses in the draft. That's a complete.
Go look at the Ravens. Go look at the Chiefs. Go look at the Steelers. Go look at their last 4 or 5 drafts. That's what I'm saying. It's a dysfunctional organization that has no idea what they're doing.
What's up, Turd Ferguson?
Franchise.
Listen, Poles is going to get a chance to hire another coach. His biggest mistake was retaining Matt Eberflus this year when there was so much great talent at the coaching position available to be interviewed and available to be poached and added to this team and bring a culture to this team. Matt Eberflus isn't that guy. You can see it in his coaching. You can see it in his press conferences. You can see it in his locker room speeches, whatever. Eberflus is not that guy. He inspires nothing in me but to want to take a nap. Honestly, when I listen to him talk,
he is awful at identifying potential offensive coordinating candidates.
So far, it's been a bad track record, and also defensive coordinators. You know, Alan Williams last year, that was a huge debacle. So Eberflus is not the guy. Poles is going to get another chance. I think he's earned that. But I'll say this: Poles should have been talking today. Poles should have. No, let me say this: Poles should have been talking today, guys. Poles should have been talking to the fans, telling them what he expects from this team and how he's going to make it happen, because Matt Eberflus is not giving us answers. And when Poles talks, he needs to be saying, these guys are not in control of this. I'm putting someone else in charge of this team because I need better results from my team, and that is on Poles in my mind. Poles needs to come out and make a decision, a hard one right now.
You guys can all answer this. I have a question for you, Dustin, because you just said this, and then you guys can all chime in. Why do you think you just named a bunch of bad coaching hires that he's made? It was his decision to retain him.
Well, he's made one coaching hire. He's made one coaching hire.
Alan Williams, Matt Eberflus.
Eberflus hires his staff. You hire the coach hires their staff.
All of it falls under Poles.
Made one coaching decition.
And then he chose to retain Poles, knowing it was probably a mistake. Yes. Because you had a new.
Well, I don't think he thought it was, but yes.
We all knew it did. We knew 11 months ago.
I agree.
And this is the problem. If our GM didn't know 11 months ago, this is another even bigger problem. I'm asking, what has he done that he's earned the right to choose our next coach?
Well, I mean, he's a young GM. He's not been on the job very long. You can't expect these things to turn around that quickly, honestly, in the NFL. I don't. He's made one of the best trades in NFL history.
Sean, you want
the number one pick, DJ Moore, the second round pick in this. I mean, he's done.
How long can we live off a fleece draft? Or
Sean, you want honestly, Sean, you want Ben Johnson to be the head coach of this football team?
I don't know who I want to be the head football coach.
Hold on.
I know I don't want it to be Eberflus.
Okay, I have no
Let's
problem.
Stay on
with
this topic, though, guys, because this is good.
Yeah, because I have another question about a head coach for you guys coming up for next week.
Hold on. Let Bernie talk about Ryan Poles.
Yeah.
Bernie never said anything about Ryan Poles. I want to hear his opinion on Ryan Poles.
I have no problem with Ben Johnson, but I think that is the idea. If you ask me,
thanks, Zach,
and I won't be wrong about this.
Scott Angel in the building.
The Ryan Poles hire to a T to me is Ben Johnson. Ryan Poles will 100% target Ben Johnson as his number one coaching candidate. I believe because Ryan Poles is very much about trying to put this old Bears, and he did double down, guys, on Eberflus. So I'm not going to say this guys have made mistakes, but his mentality about this football team is to forget the old, out with the bad, in with the new. And he wants a modern day offense and Caleb Williams, and he went and got Keenan Allen. He wants that. I think that he wants youth. He wants this roster to be young. I think that I have no doubt when he actually makes his coaching hire, and I mean in an open pool, I don't mean like Kyle pointed out to us. It seemed like he was kind of forced between Dan Quinn or Matt Eberflus, but he did double
Which
down. on
Mass is
Eberflus.
talking about right here too.
But
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I
and
think
I was
think
gonna bring that
I
up,
think
too.
Ben Johnson is absolutely 100% the kind of hire that Ryan Poles would make, because Ben Johnson worked
But what
under
about his
Dan
merits,
Campbell.
Brandon?
Hold
What
on.
about his merits?
Ben Johnson worked under a Dan Campbell. That's a guy who has a strictly no bullshit attitude. I mean, 100%. That guy, he could have been, Dan Campbell could be 15 years younger than a player. He's still your superior. No doubt about it. That's the kind of guy he is. So I think Ben Johnson might carry some traits like those. I think Ryan Poles wants a modern day, young, offensive minded head coach for this football team that proves that he can also take command over men like Tyreek Stevenson.
Why do you think Poles deserves
honestly,
to have
guys,
that chance, though?
against the Patriots, Tyreek Stevenson came really close to doing it again.
He
Really close.
did.
So
Why do you think Poles deserves to have the chance to hire Ben Johnson, though, Brandon? That's the question.
because Ryan Poles did. I think Eberflus wasn't. I don't think he's done. Like I said, in an open pool of coaches, I don't think we've seen Poles hire a
He's
guy.
got to do his process.
Yeah, I don't think he's done it yet. And I also believe, like I said, he wants to lean more on offense. There is no way, if you ask me, guys, no way Ryan Poles hires a defensive head coach for this football team next year.
I'll say
No
this,
way.
though. That's ass
No way.
backwards in Chicago playing outdoors to be an offensive first team. It just is.
It doesn't. Well, that
Oh,
doesn't. I don't
Well,
think
they
an
might
offensive
plan on
coach
playing
dictates
indoors.
that much, man.
Indoors, that's a whole different story. But the way this team is set up right now, if your identity is a pass first offense, you're going to fall on your face.
Well, can I give you guys?
You're going to
can I
be
give you
okay in
guys-
the first half of the season. The second half,
yeah.
Can I give you guys? Can I give you guys some number or some information
Hey,
on Ryan
quick,
Poles? real quick?
Kyle, really quick. I want to touch on what Atmas said, and yes, I do believe Atmas that Ernie Accosi and Bill Polian in the circle of trust keep doing this research and keep giving the Bears all this extensive information that winds up to be shit. Because I believe they are the two that were responsible for bringing Eberflus to the forefront, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and let's
Sean,
be
would you
clear.
be surprised if Bill Polian and Ernie Accorsi were actually working for the Packers? The Packers are paying their couple agents.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, Bill Polian is no longer part of the Bears. He won't be part.
He's not.
It's already announced he's not going to be part of
Well,
the
thank
coaching
God.
anything to do with the Bears anymore. They gave him $6 million for 6 months. It's basically what they gave him.
This comment right here is important.
Can I ask
This
you guys a
comment-
question?
Real quick,
Go
let's
ahead,
get this
Zach.
comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Zach Lipsey says Ben Johnson wanted the Bears job last year, now apparently wants nothing to do with it.
That's coming out
Why
of
do you
Adam's
think-
after.
If that's true, why do you think that is? Who can't see the dysfunction from a mile away with this team just watching what's happening? I don't blame Ben Johnson for. If I was Ben Johnson, I would want no part of this fucking team.
Can I ask you guys a question? Ted Phillips and George McCaskey have always been super involved in hiring the head coach, no matter who the GM was. Do you think Ryan Poles is going to be able to tell these guys, just let me take it, just stay the hell away from this?
You
let
put
do
me in
this?
this position.
Do you
Let me
think-
do my job.
Do you because
Sure.
you're asking me what I think of Ryan Poles? Does it even matter?
This
Does
guy,
he get egghead? Does he get that freedom? Does he get
If
the
they're
green
not
light
giving
to
it to
just
him,
do
then that's
what the
why they're
hell he
doing it.
wants to do?
Well, let me say that I think
Because
Ryan Poles.
Kevin Warren will not. I don't think Kevin Warren's the kind of guy that's going to go reaching into Poles' pockets when it comes to decision making time. Can Poles tell McCaskey to just back the hell off and leave it? There is no my guy. Remember we talked about that, Kyle, Dustin. There is no my guy. It's not. This is the guy. This is the guy that I want. If you're Ryan Poles, you tell him, you got to have faith, man. I'm going to choose the guy for this position.
I'll tell you this. I think Ryan Poles should be held responsible more for the offensive line than for the call. I mean, you could say there's things you could say about Matt Eberflus, things you could point to be like, well, I understand maybe a little bit why he decided. I mean, the Bears did finish strong last season. The players obviously continued to play for Matt Eberflus. Their defense got better progressively. They're still getting better. That you could point to small reasons why Matt Eberflus would be retained, even if they were dumb reasons. And
Oh
it's
God,
not
don't
enough.
even say it, dude. Don't even say it.
But the offensive line, he needs to have he needs to have 100%. I mean, that's him. Matteberflus has nothing to do with the offensive line. That's Ryan Poles. I mean, we came into the season knowing the offensive line. We
Kyle,
knew they sucked.
Kyle,
we all knew they
I
sucked.
want to cut you off. Nobody answered. Do you guys believe Ryan Poles will be given the reins? I mean, total control on the head coaching, not only interviewing, but hiring.
Kevin Warren will at least have something to say about it. I guarantee that. I don't know if it's McCaskey, but somebody else will oversee the coaching.
If they don't give Poles full autonomy in making this decision and they maintain him as their GM, then they are again doing it ass backwards, guys. And
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Can this organization now that Phillips
this team wants to wonder why it's where it's at, guys? Look in the fucking mirror. It's your fault, McCaskey's. It's your fault. It's your fault that this team cannot
Phillips
get on board with modern day NFL because you're not giving control of the team to a guy whose job is to control the football team. Let them do their job. Hire them and let them do their job. Keep your hands out of it.
Now that Phillips is gone and Warren is here, do you think Warren's the kind of guy that will say to McCaskey, because Phillips was always pushing McCaskey in a direction with his GM on who to hire as a head coach? We know that was actually reported by NBC Sports. So do we believe that Kevin Warren's the kind of guy that'll tell McCaskey, like George, like, because this is part of his job. It is to interact between the GM and the owner. That is part of Kevin Warren's job. He's the buffer. Is he to go to McCaskey and say, let this guy do his damn job. Let him figure it out.
If Poles wants to keep his job, he needs to be saying
that.
I hope there's somebody in the organization that says that. Stay out of my business. Let me do the job you hired me to do.
I hope Kevin Warren has had conversations with McCaskey's about potentially firing Ryan Poles. I'm not saying I want them to fire Ryan Poles. I'm saying I hope Kevin Warren's the no bullshit kind of guy who walks in the office and goes, hey, if this shit continues, if this is what we look like, and I am now the president of football operations for this team, this is my reputation on the line as well.
Kyle,
if this is the shit that we continue to put on the field, everybody's getting fired.
His role is more to defend Ryan Poles. Remember, Ryan Poles brought Kevin Warren.
I think his role
should be. Kevin Warren's role is to run the business side of this.
Yeah, he should be. It should be exclusive to each situation. So if he thought Ryan Poles was a good GM, defend him. Once you've turned the script, once he's like, I don't think he's as good of a GM as I thought he was, then you need to start making a case to fire him and be like,
guys, can we celebrate my GM member of the chat, Independent Aquaman?
I think you're coming in, brother.
Wait. We can't just. Let's give another round of applause to Sophisticated.
We did. We shouted him out. Were you not here?
Yeah, no, thanks, Sean. Thanks.
Looks like one of four of you might remember a famous WWF wrestler, Triple H.
I will.
Your subject line reminded me of that.
That's awesome.
Thanks for joining us, man. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button.
Aquaman. Sean's a huge wrestling
comments from you.
All right. Well, here, I want to give you guys some information real quick. Guys,
we got 20 people in the chat right now. I just want to thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
everybody.
Keep it
active, guys. Keep this conversation
moving forward. You guys can dictate the conversation.
Sure.
You can.
Yeah, be the screenplay of this conversation.
Yeah, you guys. So I went back and looked at a bunch of articles about Ryan Poles. Not only as when he was getting hired to the Bears, and I read the articles as if they were when they were released that day. I also looked at the articles, what people thought about him when he was a scout for the Kansas City Chiefs. I wanted to get the opinion of Ryan Poles and what people thought of him. This is one thing that continued to pop up over and over and over again. This is 4 different articles I read, all about the same subject matter. The Kansas City Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes in 2017, which, by the way, Ryan Poles did not have much to do with that situation. From what I heard, that Ryan Poles was not the scout who was scouting quarterbacks. He had almost nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes. What he was in charge of,
their entire scouting department.
Yes.
That's not what I read at all.
I read all of it. He said he sent 2 guys out to go scout quarterbacks. They came back, said Patrick Mahomes. He trusted both of them to make that decision because he's the one who hired them. He's the one who put them in place.
Okay, so yes, he had a lot to do with
Yes,
Patrick
he did
Mahomes.
confirm but they're the ones. He's not the one who found them. He's not the one who was like, I'm going to.
But he hired the 2 guys and he trusted them.
Okay,
so
here's what he did that
he
could affect
oversaw the entire department. Yes.
Here's what he did that could affect the Bears. Could directly affect the Chicago Bears. Ryan Poles drafted Patrick Mahomes in 2017. Do you guys know where the Chiefs offensive line ranked 2018, 2019, 2020?
Probably
at the bottom of the fucking pack. Yep. Do you guys know what Ryan Poles did in 2020? This is what Ryan Poles was part of the Chiefs. This is directly from the article, guys. Ryan Poles was part of the Chiefs front office that tore down and rebuilt the offensive line in front of Patrick Mahomes in 2021. Chiefs 2021 draft in Oklahoma center, Creed Humphrey, Tennessee guard, Trey Smith, Chiefs 2021 free agent additions, Joe Thuney, guard. Kyle Long, guard. Not one starting offensive lineman from the 2020 Chiefs team came back in 2021. 5 new starters. On top of that, he drafted 2 guys late in the 2018-2019 draft, developed them for 3 years, and they ended up becoming starting offensive linemen they are now starting for the Chiefs now after years of development. So my question to you guys is, if he did this for the Chiefs and he built it backwards like he's doing here, he built the receivers, the Tyreek, he had everything else put in place. He got the quarterback, and then he built the offensive line afterwards. Do you guys think that with 3 picks and certainly the top 50 this year, probably going to end up being the top 45, 3 picks in the top 45, you know that the Carolina and Chicago picks probably going to be before the middle of the second round, right? If that's the case, and they have, you guys, this year, it's projected that the Bears will have $72,537,000
really
under the
solid
cap.
stuff, Kyle. Really solid stuff.
Yeah, so they're going to have $72,537,000 under the cap, guys. Under the cap, that's a lot of money. And if they cut Nate Davis, guess what? That will save them $9.5 million in cap space, and will only cost them $2 million.
Yeah.
That is like
versus the 13 this year.
Yeah, that's like you're going up to somebody and paying them $2 million to get Nate Davis off your fucking franchise, which is great. That's exactly what they should do. I would do that in a heartbeat. Not a question about it.
We got independent Aquaman here saying the Bears O-line this season is 15th best at pass protection, 5th best at run protection. Last season they were 19th best at pass protection and 5th best at run protection.
Okay, my question, independent Aquaman, and I actually appreciate the comment, but my question to you, independent Aquaman, would be, which offensive line are you talking about? Because once again, the Bears have had 5 different offensive lines this year. So I don't know which one. Yeah, it depends on which one you're referring to. I don't know where Ryan Bates played. I don't know. I didn't look up his football.
They've also allowed
I don't know how he looked on Sunday.
Wait, Kyle, Stan, are you going to Ryan Poles drafting or building an offensive line?
So with 75,
so Kyle's kind of projecting out that we're going to see Ryan Poles really attack the offensive
and did
line.
you guys hear did you guys read Brad Bigg's article this morning?
No.
On Bears Digest. So Brad Biggs said that what he's hearing from inside the locker room, this is what he's hearing is Ryan Poles has already mentioned that he's going to strip down and rebuild this offensive line from scratch at this offseason. He's going to get rid of and reflip the entire offensive line. That's what's being said. You never know how much of the stuff is true. That could all be made up. I don't know. But
Kyle,
with 3 top 40 picks and $75 million in cap, $80 million in cap space,
do you think
Nate Davis? Do you think he could do it? Do you guys trust him?
Do you think Ryan Poles? Do you think Ryan Poles thinks if he builds an offensive line, this coaching staff is the staff that's gonna?
No, he's gonna. Coaches are fired, guys.
Coaches are done.
Matteberflus is fired. I think do we all agree on that? That Matteberflus his job is guaranteed fired.
It's inevitable.
Yeah,
well,
he's fired.
Kyle, if you remember, I was saying that same thing at this time last year, and they kept him anyways. I thought he was a lock to be gone last year.
Yeah, but I think
who the fuck knows?
Justin, do you think it's fair to say that the amount of pressure by the public, the fans, the NFL themselves, what other people are saying,
definitely increasing because there were expectations.
There's more pressure on Ryan Poles to make a decision. Plus, Ryan Poles has to worry about his job at some point. He's got to make a scapegoat too.
Flus is going to have to fire Waldron to save his job, and Poles is going to have to fire Flus to save his job.
I agree.
Kyle, to your point, over 20 in the chat right now. Thanks, guys. Kyle, to your point.
Last time you said that, we lost 10 viewers.
Ryan Poles has been really bad, to Sean's credit, what she said earlier, Sean's defense, really bad at signing free agent offensive linemen, like dreadfully bad. I don't even want to go through the list because there's guys you don't even remember, like Schofield and Leatherwood, but he's been pretty solid at drafting offensive linemen. We don't know what Karan is. Braxton's been serviceable. We all at least say that, I think. And Darnell Wright is going to be a good football player. So when it comes to if Ryan Poles wants to attack this draft, like 1, 2, 3, the top 2, the first 2 rounds, drafting 3 offensive linemen, I have faith that he can build.
All right, Brendan, do you have any offensive linemen in mind from the draft? Anybody?
No, man, I'm not that deep into offensive.
There was a really good point made by independent Aquaman saying like quarterbacks impact that offensive line, those offensive line stats too, which we talked about going into the season, that we thought Caleb would impact this offensive line in a positive way by making smart decisions and being able to maneuver in the pocket. He has, but he also got sacked 9 times on Sunday. So like Caleb is holding the ball too long, guys. That's just a fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not a question. He's developing bad habits is what's what's happening with Caleb Williams.
He's
Yeah,
not
that's
developing,
on-
Kyle.
that's
He's
on the
not
coaching
developing bad habits coming into the league. Holding the ball was one of his biggest knocks.
Sean, can I
Holding
ask
the
you?
ball to the line.
Reinforcing
Shh,
bad
shh,
habits, then,
so
Sean,
do you-
instead of having
Sean,
them
Sean, bring up
getting
that
worse.
draft profile.
Can I ask you guys a question then? Let me ask you guys this, because we're still on Ryan Poles here. We'll switch over to Matt Eberflus and the Bears in a second. But here, Sean, Ryan, to your credit, Ryan Poles has not been good at drafting offensive linemen. Darnell Wright's probably the only one that you could give him 100% credit for, because Braxton Jones is serviceable to less, right? I mean, he's not great. Braxton Jones would be a damn good backup tackle in the NFL.
Correct.
Probably one of the top 5 backup
Yeah,
tackles.
Kyle,
But he's
and
not a good
fifth-round
starter.
pick to find
For value, the value is amazing for Braxton Jones. I'm not saying Braxton Jones is a bad player.
Should not be a
He's just not the future of left tackle if you're with a rookie quarterback.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Okay, well, let me ask you guys this. You said that you do also have to give Ryan Poles credit for, or at least this coaching staff, somebody has to give credit in this resume that switched Tevin Jenkins from tackle to guard. Somebody did it. I don't know who made that decision, but he's been ranked the top 5 guard in the NFL.
It was probably Chris Morgan
for 2
saying
years
that
in a
he's
row
been
now.
the line coach.
Yeah, so somebody's made that decision. So somebody has to get credit
Kyle,
for
that
that.
doesn't make Chris Morgan any better. He's still
Okay, well,
sucks.
let me ask you guys this. I'm going to go over.
Gone.
I'm going to go over just a few of the available. First of all, if you don't trust Ryan Poles to draft offensive linemen, then you're assuming that he's probably going to sign free agent offensive linemen who have already proven themselves in the NFL, and that
we should trust him even less to do that. We should trust him even less.
Here, Kyle. Here's my thing.
Because
when I look at his draft, the only good players he's had have come out of the rounds 1.
Yeah, you guys, he has not drafted one Pro Bowler.
Hold on, Sean.
He has not drafted one Pro Bowler.
Kyle, let Sean go ahead.
One.
I'm just saying, when you look at his drafts, his first 2 rounds have been good. If you take Braxton Jones out, I have the list right here. I can read it off to you. It sucked. So do I trust him in evaluating talent? I'm not 100% sure that I do. It's kind of still, for me, he has to prove it a little bit, because what he's done for this offensive line in 3 years.
You can only prove it by drafting players.
In 3 years, he hasn't proved it to me. Because you can't give me anything good he's done, because Matt Pryor sucks. Ryan Bates, I don't know who was good on that offensive line, because I couldn't find anybody yesterday.
Ryan Bates had
Matt Pryor's another
They all
case.
sucked.
Matt Pryor's another case, though, of a guy being signed for depth and now being thrown into multiple starting roles along this offensive line.
I believe
That's not what he
Ryan
was
Bates is going to be. Ryan Bates is going to be a starter on this team next year. I believe that.
No,
that I do believe.
No,
if he's a starter,
you're going to get a left tackle.
Steps back.
You're going to get a left tackle, left guard, and a center. That's what you're going to do.
I love this right here from Slick Sophistication.
I agree with this.
Cut or not re-sign James Daniels, Roquan Smith. That was the huge one, and then David Montgomery was another big one. He got Chase Claypool, Nate Davis, and his vetting process sucks.
Well, you can also throw Darnell Mooney on the list.
No,
let Darnell Mooney go too.
Slick Sophistication. I agree with you 100%. These are more knocks on this guy.
Okay, but that's also when you sign players.
Justin, really quick, he was so concerned about creating his own legacy that he decided to let good players go that could contribute to this roster. So there's another evaluation process that he failed in. Darnell Mooney, James Daniels, and Roquan Smith.
Roquan was the biggest.
Smith, they couldn't get a deal done.
Sean, what are you saying? Sean, how do you feel about Ryan Poles?
I'm losing confidence quickly.
Do you guys know who the highest graded guard is in the NFL?
He said it was what, a 5-year or 3-year process?
Yeah, he said 3 years. No, he did.
Exactly.
Do you guys know
3 years? Can I say this? Thank you for taking us from the bottom of the NFC North to the bottom of the NFC North, Ryan Poles.
Okay, but that's
also where we're going to end up.
When you bring players onto your team as a GM, you have to then pass them off to coaches who should then coach them up to be the best players possible. So that also comes down to your coaching decision. Have you hired the right person to get the proper results on the field?
I think
he's failed in that area too, right? He's failed in that area too, in terms of giving the players that he's bringing onto this team a chance to succeed with the coaching he's giving them. Because I think Poles
has drafted pretty well. Kyle, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, what did you say, Brandon?
Poles?
I think Poles has drafted pretty well.
Hold on, Kyle. Before you go on, let me just go over these drafts.
Well, you guys, I just said he has not drafted one Pro Bowler, so I'm not.
Yeah,
and nobody here is saying
he let Roquan Smith go because he got butt hurt. That was his big. That was a huge debacle. To let Roquan Smith go.
Well, I'm sure. I think the finances were kind of a mess there too. So he was kind of trying to decipher everything, try to figure out where to put all this money because
Wait, hold on a
people.
second. Hold on.
Roquan wanted 120 million dollars. He was like, dude, I don't even know if we have 120 million dollars in here. I mean,
Hold on.
we just ate $78 million for Khalil Mack.
Hold on one second.
He's drafted Jervon Dexter.
I want to go.
Let Sean go through the drafts. Let Sean go through the drafts.
We know the good players, but there's
Okay, well, you got go through it. Go through the drafts. What we got?
Well, we got Bellis Jones, Tyler Scott, Braxton Jones, Zachary Thomas, Trenton Gill, Karanaj Amadaji, Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith, Noel Sewell, Zach Pickens, Roshan Johnson, Tyler Scott, where else? Dominique Robinson.
The Jets have two Tyler Scotts.
I mean,
I don't know if we can handle one of them. We can't even get them on the field.
To say that he's drafted well at the beginning of drafts, getting the two Brisker and Gordon and Tyreek Stevenson. I guess the
and
front end of your drafts, but how do you? It's much like fantasy football. How do you build your roster?
You didn't put Torrey Taylor in there.
The middle of the draft, you have to build depth. You build through the draft because that's what he said he wanted to do. He's built a couple of front end talents, but he's built no depth. He's built nothing. He's built a shit show.
John, the depth on this secondary is incredible.
It is.
Okay. Where's the depth on the offensive line? Where's the
league.
depth at the linebacker? Where's the depth at the defensive line? So he built a good secondary. Woo! Yeah, awesome. What else has he done?
All right.
You cannot live off the Carolina Panthers fleece trade, dude. You just can't.
Listen, Poles is going to get another shot to hire his head coach. I firmly believe.
You guys want to hear some?
I think he's earned it with what he's done so far. To be honest, give him 2 more years with a head coach and see if he can turn it around. Because this will be a pretty ready-made roster. Besides what Kyle's been talking about, which is this offensive line. If they can't put a solid offensive line in front of Caleb Williams, they're done. So that needs to be the priority this offseason.
He's already failed as the GM because he said in 3 years we're taking the North back. And guess what? We ain't taking the North back this year. We ain't even sniffing the North this year.
We just got a new subscriber, guys.
You guys, the Bears were never going to win.
Thank you.
NFC North with a rookie quarterback. That was never going to happen. They were
This
never
division was
going.
way
I didn't say it. He did.
He said that not knowing that Caleb
Williams
Williams was going to be his quarterback as a rookie at this point.
Not my problem.
But I mean,
they shouldn't be this bad.
You know those interviews.
Their own building.
Sean, you know how those introductory press conferences go. Hey, we love Bears fans. The Bears are awesome. The Bears are going to be the best. The Bears are great. What champion? Super Bowl champion. That's what you have to say. You can't go out there and be like, hey, guys, this looks like it sucks. This is going to take 10 years. Nobody's going to
Sean, Dan Campbell's not.
Let's be fair here.
Sean, Dan Campbell's not actually shaving kneecaps off.
No, he said biting kneecaps off. Biting.
No, biting. He's not biting.
Well, here, you guys want to hear the definition of
I'm just fucking with you, Sean.
For Ryan Poles, the 3 top free agency guards going into this offseason are A, Tevin Jenkins. He's one of the top 3 PFF ranked free agent guards. B, James Daniels, who, by the way, guys, is the number 1 guard in Pro Football Focus. 92.9.
Guys, let Kyle talk for a second. Get it out.
Kyle, you remember correctly how much I was pissed when James Daniels was not retained by this. You remember that shit, right?
So
I'm losing my fucking mind.
Number 3 is guard Kevin Zeitler from the Detroit, and they've already announced that he's not going anywhere. They're going to franchise tag him, or they're going to sign him again. So the top three, your options are a guard are James Daniels or Tevin Jenkins. Or if you don't go through the draft, one of those 2 has to be resigned. You have to sign one of those 2, and they're both Penn Bears. And then here, you guys want to go over the top tackles? First of all, the tackles, according to Pro Football Focus, this is not a great free agency class. And by the way, guys, I looked at the draft.
It never is at left tackle.
It's not a good draft class for tackles either, by the way, guys. So I looked at tackles for free agency. Here's your best tackles in free agency. So you have tackle Ronnie Stanley from Baltimore. He has a 72.5 Pro
He's
Football
not going nowhere.
Tackle Tyrone Smith from the New York Jets. He's got a 73.6 Pro Football Focus rating. Tackle Garrett Bowles from the Denver Broncos. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I don't even really know anything about this guy. They did give him.
He's solid.
Bowles, B-O-L-L-E-S.
He's solid. Garrett Bowles is a solid tackle. Yeah.
He comes in with the highest Pro Football Focus ranking for free agent tackles at 78.7. So that's your best. Garrett Bowles would be on this list right now. It's in front of me. He's your best bet. That's your best bet.
Guys,
if I can go over this, Jacob Infante laid out a list of the top linemen that will be free agents at the end of the season yesterday. It was Trey Smith, Zach Martin, Ryan Kelly, Drew Dolman, Ronnie Stanley, Tyron Smith.
Sean, they're all on this list. Every
did
one
you
of the guys
just-
I just said. Yeah, every single one of the guys I just said.
Guys, I want to ask independent.
Derelict Jackson? I don't know who that
Hold on.
is.
I want to ask
Justin, go on.
independent Aquaman a question because he keeps talking about how he was talking to the CFL Blue Bombers about their PR dude and all that. What do you do with that? Are you in football? Do you have some expertise you can lend us in regards to what your career path is? Because if you're involved in all that, then obviously, and people are listening to you, then that's pretty cool. So just curious what your background is, independent Aquaman, if you can let us know. We've never had you in here before, so we don't know.
But Justin, do you want to read that comment again? Because there's something on there. I hate to thanks for listening, man, but I don't, Sean, or the one you had before where you went.
No, yeah, I got you.
I don't agree that wide receiver and cornerbacks are window dressings. Actually, cornerback for me in the NFL has become a very, very important position.
It's passing league.
Yeah, well, and it's the quarterback's numbers are starting to deter a little bit in the NFL because all these teams take their top corners so seriously. Almost every team in the NFL's top corner is an absolute stud. Look at where all these teams are spending their money. Look at where the Bears spent their money on Jalen Johnson. Look at Patrick Surtain's not going anywhere. Sauce Gardner's not going anywhere. Look what the Washington Commanders just had to give up for a 31-year-old Marshawn Lattimore. They sent 3 picks to the Saints for him and an expiring contract as well. I mean, I think cornerback and wide receiver actually are two of the most important. I would say it goes offensive line, offensive line, defensive line, quarterback, cornerback, wide receiver. That would be mine. Offensive line, defensive line, quarterback, cornerback, wide receiver. Those are my 5 most important positions.
And Kyle, I do agree.
I think a secondary. I think if you're a defense, if you're a GM building the defense and you build from the outside in, that's okay. If you want to strengthen, if you feel like you've got the guys in the secondary in the draft, you want to build your secondary up before you build your pass rush, you can get by. I believe that. Like you traded for Montez Sweat. You know what I mean? If you're a team who wants to go trade for Keenan Allen and draft Rome Odunze and give DJ Moore an extension, and you're not thinking about offensive line, that don't work. And on the offensive side of the football, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You cannot establish skill playing positions before you establish the ability to protect the guy who has to give the ball to the skill playing positions. Yeah. It just doesn't. But you can build the secondary that the Bears have built. I have no problem with the way that Poles has drafted on defense.
He's made it a strength of this team. He's made it a focus to make it a strength.
He could have gotten some quality pass rushers for sure,
or offensive linemen with those picks he took.
Over Rome Odunze, he could have taken Dallas Turner.
Can I ask you guys a quick question? Do you guys have any draft regret of not taking Jared Verse over Rome Odunze? The way Jared Verse is absolutely wrecking the league right now?
No, Sean, I have draft regret over not taking Amarius Mims over Rome Odunze. That's I have draft regret.
That's fair too.
It's
Kyle Harris asked a question and we didn't answer it. Now he's asking it again. So let's answer it, please. He asked why Chicago doesn't take a page from Green Bay or New England and sit Caleb and develop him. Ant-Man says it's because of the fans. Thoughts?
Can I tell you why? Because he was sold as a plug and play player, ready to play on day one in the NFL.
Kyle, the league doesn't work that way anymore.
Look at Joe Burrow.
It works for Drake May.
It doesn't work that way anymore.
Drake Daniels, he sat out for 4 games.
You guys, I don't know if you saw this or not, but
Jaden Daniels is starting over Marcus Mariota. When you draft a quarterback, and to be honest with you, the Patriots Jacoby Brissett should have never played a football game this season. To be honest, he should not have started a football game. This is not the way the NFL works.
You guys, let me just say real quick, since Kyle brought that up, there are rumblings, and the Bears have ipsnated it. They said Caleb Williams is their starting quarterback going forward.
Never going to happen.
But there are rumblings of the Bears sitting Caleb Williams as long as this offensive line continues to play the way they're playing. And
that's asinine and bullshit. And
I agree.
Like if the Bears were going, if you talk, Brandon, you just talked about those other teams. I mean, and the Bengals, started Joe Burrow right away, and he's the most sacked quarterback since he started playing. Basically, it's hard for him to stay healthy. So, you have to have a concerted effort, and in your mind, how are we going to develop this guy if we start him? How are we going to protect this guy if we start him? If we're drafting a quarterback number 1 overall and we're going to put him on the field on day 1, you can't just put the weapons around him and say this is going to work. You need to have the guy with the right philosophy in the building to teach Caleb Williams, right? The infrastructure. And you got to have an offensive line that can fucking protect the quarterback. That's just, those are non-negotiables if you're going to be starting a rookie quarterback. And the Bears have done the opposite. They have a shitty offensive line. They got an offensive coordinator that's asking them to take 5 and 7 step dropbacks and go through the most reads in the NFL instead of giving them one quick, easy read and designing these receivers to get open quick and hit them on the quick, man. It's the exact opposite with this Bears team. So I don't think that it's a thing of you have to do it this way or that way. It can work both ways. It can work like if you sit them for a year, and it can work if you start them, because we've seen examples of both in the NFL. But the Bears did it wrong in terms of what they provided.
Justin, here's the problem though. If you're a head coach in the NFL and you get a rookie quarterback, and you are now on a 4-year timeline, there's no doubt. Like the effect that the effect that the extension for a rookie quarterback has made
The contract, yeah.
over the timeline of a head coach is just unfathomable. Really, at this point, like if your rookie quarterback is not competing for a playoff spot by their sophomore year, the second year of their career, and you're a head coach, you're done. You're done. So let's say if Canellis sticks with Bryce Young and they win some games to finish the season, because Bryce Young's won 2 in a row now, right? Let's say they win some games to finish the season, if Canellis doesn't compete for at least like a 9-8 season, right? At least he's gone. So the difference is you have to start these rookie quarterbacks if you're a head coach, because you've got to figure out now if these guys are going to take you to the playoffs and compete for a Super Bowl before they're owed $210 million over 4 years.
And
So,
Aquaman is kind of echoing your point here. He
So
says,
you
how
don't
much
take-
time will they give their GMs to restructure their
yeah,
teams?
you do
and-
not take a quarterback first overall and start, guys. I mean, an undrafted free agent undrafted
Hold on.
free agent
You can't
2-year
do
player
this.
in Tyson Bagent cannot start over your number 1 pick. That
Here,
cannot
here.
happen.
Did
That
we not?
cannot happen.
Do we
right?
not say,
Guys,
ahead,
this-
Sean.
if Tyson
this-
Bagent is your quarterback week 1, how do you feel about Shane Waldron and Matt Eberflus when
The Bears didn't have a quarterback to start over
Well,
Caleb.
this goes back again to the question I asked you guys earlier about Drake May and then Ryan Poles as well. He knew he was getting a rookie quarterback. He failed to improve the line, but Drake May is doing it behind a bad offensive line with no receivers, and he looks okay. So I'm just
Well,
asking
Sean,
questions here.
That's scheme. That's game.
It's
plan. That's Shane
scheme.
Waldron.
Yes,
That's
it's
Shane
he's
Waldron.
getting the ball.
Okay.
They literally, what's his name? Daryl Johnston, literally pointed out during the broadcast the
Multiple
difference in how
times.
the Patriots,
multiple times.
the difference in how the Patriots were approaching their offensive game plan versus how the Bears. And I
Okay.
just told you they
This is
handed the ball
perfect,
to
though.
running backs 31 times in that game. The Bears handed the ball to their
Here.
running backs 17 times in that game. That's clearly scheme.
This is perfect.
Almost
though, because
double.
This
Almost
goes.
double.
This goes back to my point. This is another failure by the general manager to be ready for a rookie quarterback. He should have had a professional center on this roster to start the season at the least. If he didn't improve the guard
Shelton has
position,
been the best offensive lineman the Bears have.
Who? Coleman
Shelton
Shelton?
has looked the best to me in these games for the last
Sean,
5 weeks, man.
I don't
Sean-
think a single lineman's look great for the
Well, they
Sean-
all look like
Sean-
shit, but if I'm picking the best, it's been Shelton for
Sean,
sure.
here's-
Like, the center
here's-
is
Sean,
the most
here's-
secure position.
Here's the problem with what you're saying. You cannot connect the failures of the Bears offense over the last 3 weeks to their general manager.
Sure, I can.
They are not. They
He built
have
the
a,
roster.
They have a injured offensive line. And
Okay.
every team,
Build better depth. You've had
Sean,
3 years.
every team in the NFL, the coaching staff adjusts to what's happening with their football team. If it's injuries, if it's just lack of production, if it's lack of development, if the quarterback
Well-
just says, this is what I'm saying to you. Bo Nix doesn't have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze. Bo Nix has Cortland Sutton. Jaden Daniels has Terry McLaurin. Ryan Poles has given Caleb Williams so much to succeed. Yes, he didn't build the offensive line the way it needs to be built, but there is still a way with the
So he
talent
didn't-
on
so,
Sean.
Brandon,
Sean,
So he
is there a
didn't do
way-
the most
Yes,
important thing he needed to do.
Sean, is there a way with the talent on this team for a young quarterback to still succeed?
Not with the offensive line the way it is, no. And not with Shane
Apparently not,
Waldron calling
because
plays.
they
No.
failed to build the offensive
three
line.
step, 5-step drops and
But, hey, by the way,
and Shane Waldron is in charge of it.
Hey,
Shane
by the
Waldron
way,
is in charge.
Kyle, Kyle,
By the
could
way-
you get these receivers on this Bears team open earlier than they have been?
Not if they're not
Yep.
running. Here, this Zach Lipsy right here says it all, guys. Stevenson was playing half-ass coverage. He played his worst game of his career that I've ever seen him play. He has quit. DJ Moore and Keenan Allen are not running full speed. If you watch them, they're not even trying. There's no effort. There's no effort at all from this team. They have quit on this coaching staff. Guys, Caleb Williams was sitting. Hold on.
No, hold on, Dustin.
You hold on, Brandon. Caleb Williams was sitting on the bench. Oh my God. Go ahead. You got it.
With this offensive line, you cannot coach this team for Caleb to be in a better position to succeed.
Brandon,
With this
you
offensive
couldn't
line,
use this
there's
offensive
no
line in week
succeeding
one.
for Caleb Williams.
Thanks, Slick Sophistication.
You could
He's
not.
subscribed.
You could not use this week 1, week 2, week 3. The line hasn't been great. Were they great against Carolina and Jacksonville? Great. They just gave up
Not
9.
really.
They just gave up 9 sacks to a team who averages less than a sack and a half a week.
Can you coach
Guys, the
it
Patriots had
differently?
16 sacks. The Patriots had
coach
16
it?
sacks going into
Can
this
you
game.
coach it
They got 9 in
differently?
this game.
Can
Come
you
on.
coach it differently
Exactly.
to limit that?
Yes, you can, but not if Waldron is the guy, because Waldron clearly can't. Waldron
That's what
cannot.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. That is my whole point. Is like you can still coach.
Yeah, I
the
understand what you're saying, Vernon. Vernon, I understand what you're saying. I agree with Vernon. I agree with Vernon. If what Vernon's saying is as bad as due to victim of circumstance, as bad as the circumstances are, can't you still make Caleb Williams look a little bit better than he's looked? Yes, you can. And here's the answer to the question, Vernon. I just brought up the fact that they were thinking about saying, hey, maybe we'll sit Caleb Williams and let Tyson Bagent play. If you can't fix if you're going to allow us 9 sacks no matter what the game plan is, then it's time for Tyson Bagent to get in because Caleb Williams isn't going to make it. He's not going to make it, guys. He's not going to make it. He won't make it. If you get sacked 9 times a game, you ain't going to make it till the end of the season. That's a guaranteed fact.
That's a lose-lose. That's a lose-lose for Caleb though too, because if you take him out and put Bagent in, and then and they switch their play caller, and now all of a sudden they're succeeding.
Well, no. If you switch the play caller, then Caleb Williams has to come back in. But if you continue to do what you're doing, and you're putting your quarterback in harm's way 9 to 12 to 15 times a game, you can't leave your quarterback out there, right? I mean, that's the most important part of this franchise.
Yeah. Kyle, what I'm saying is he retained Eberflus, which brought in the staff, which he gave a shit line. This all goes back to the top. You guys can deny it and defend polls all the fuck you want. It all falls back on his feet. He's responsible for this team. This team is a failure under his watch.
Why are
they a failure under his watch? Because 11 months ago, he decided to keep Matt Eberflus. That is on him.
Sean, but if I tell you that
brings in Waldron, which is on him because he kept the coach. This
all
falls at Poles' feet.
Okay,
dude.
but if I tell you that the Bears for a fact, which I am almost 100% certain, are not going to fire Ryan Poles at the end of the season, there's really no point to even talking about it because he's going to be here next season, so it doesn't matter. You have to start finding out other ways to adjust to make this team better.
There are no ways because
you fire Matt Eberflus.
Same thing over. You are the
fire Matt
worst
Eberflus.
team in
That's
the
way.
league. You're an organizational failure across the board because you do the exact opposite of what successful organizations do.
Guys, let's get to the chat.
Poles is doing that.
Let's get to the chat here. Zach Lipsy says Caleb should not be judged by the last 2 weeks because several players on both sides of the ball have quit on the team and there's no accountability. Guys, Caleb has quit on Shane Waldron. I don't know if you guys saw it. I sent you guys the picture. I sent you guys the picture in our group text. Caleb's face when Waldron's trying to talk to him. Oh my God, Caleb is done with.
You also cannot say Caleb, or you cannot say Caleb should not be judged. I'm not saying Caleb deserves all of the criticism for the Bears sucking the last 2 weeks, but you also all we can do, guys, when are you guys critiquing the future quarterback of your franchise? All you could do is watch him on Sunday. I can't tell you what Caleb Williams would do with a much better offensive line and with Ben Johnson as offensive coordinator. All I can do is tell you what I'm watching in front of my own 2 eyes. Caleb Williams does not the last 3 weeks of this season. I will say. At the same time that the Bears as a team started giving up on this coaching staff, whether that happened or not, whether that has a big chunk to do with Caleb Williams' struggles or not, Caleb Williams also has looked bad. He doesn't look good.
A good coach could get more out of Caleb Williams.
Let's get to some more chat stuff here, please. Hold on.
There's a new guy. There's a few new.
That's what I'm trying to get to. Okay, but first I want to ask this question. Okay, if your Bears old players are not trying, is it because they dislike their coaches and or dislike their rookie QB? I don't know. Do you? I mean, I think it's a combination. I think this team is just quitting on the coaching. I think the coaching is losing.
I think they dislike losing. That's what I think. They do.
Very much so. DJ Moore, more than anything, dislikes losing for sure, and it's been bad, and they got to figure it out. And I don't think this coaching staff is the one to do it. We got Bear Down Mike. This is another new one, guys. Let's celebrate a new person in the chat. Hopefully, a new subscriber. Hit that like button. What Poles really meant to say is we are going to be fourth in the North and won't give it back.
At least it rhymes. Yeah.
Aquaman reminds me of NCAA Colorado Buffaloes, where there was one game that the O-line was constantly letting the others sack the son of Deion Sanders. Why? Before the game, he was arrogant. After that, humble. I guess they're trying to humble Caleb Williams in his mind. Bear Down Mike says Waldron needs to take Chris Morgan with him. Amen. Take them all. Take them all, please. Fire everyone. Sean, you got the bag? Put the bag back on your head.
That is, however, the only coach that's not
fire everyone. Go
guys,
Bears.
I don't want to hear any more about DJ Moore giving up on the team because he wants Justin Fields. That's absolutely ridiculous statement. You guys know how I know for a fact that's false, that DJ Moore does not give a shit about Justin Fields? Because the Bears gave DJ Moore $110 million to not give a shit about where Justin Fields went. He took a $110 million contract that I guarantee you right now, it was the best day of his entire life, besides his wife delivering his children. I guarantee you for a fact that was the best day of his entire. He didn't give a fuck about Justin Fields after that happened.
We got another.
DJ Moore's not upset about Justin. He's upset about the Bears coaching staff and the infrastructure and how bad this team is, and the fact that no matter how good the roster looks, they still can't win football games.
Yeah,
and that's what DJ Moore's mad about.
He feels like he's
being put in. DJ Moore is not being put in a position to succeed in this
Dustin,
offense.
what you said a couple weeks ago, he should be Deebo Samuel. That's exactly what he should be. That's exactly how DJ Moore should be.
Now, they tried to give him a couple handoffs and screen passes this week, and it did not work well because that offensive line is ass.
Yeah, they picked the wrong week.
Made Pro Salt Lake City, another new member in the chat. Steelers on line 3 for a number 2 draft pick. Thanks for joining us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend. Zach Lipsy, you can't judge it fairly if guys are quitting on plays.
Wait, hold on.
It's hard to know where to
what
throw the ball.
What does that mean? Steelers on line 3
that they're gonna take another. They're gonna fleece us in another trade.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
no, that all the time.
You guys understand what I'm saying when I say like you guys?
Pretty solid. Yeah.
I watched. Oh wait, Dan Blake Moore's here, man. We got to shout
out.
There's plenty to go around from polls on down. Yeah, I agree 100%, Dan. So what I'm saying though is, well, you guys, when you're talking about there was one play in particular I watched in the highlights.
Sean, that's a good look for you.
Where they counted up. Caleb Williams had 5.39 seconds and was never pressured on this play, not once. Nobody ever even came close to him.
He holds it way too long.
He threw the ball to an open receiver and missed him. He also is responsible for 4 of the 9 sacks. And you guys, the guys you guys all love, Tim Jennings, and they're all going to say that. They're all going to say Caleb Williams was responsible for 4 of the 9. Tim Jenkins, was responsible for the 9 sacks. Caleb Williams, I'm not saying Caleb Williams is at fault for the Bears being a bad team. I'm saying, you guys, you have to evaluate your quarterback. You have to. You absolutely have to.
Hold on, guys, real quick. Kelly Jordan, we got a new person in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe.
Hold on.
I like that. I like the point that Kelly Jordan made. He had his best numbers with Fields. Can't both be true. Yeah. If everybody keeps saying that Justin Fields sucks, why is DJ Moore sucking worse with Caleb Williams?
Yeah, I don't know.
Here, guys, really quick. I'll throw these up.
To me, comes down to Shane Waldron.
What's up, Franco?
Brandon is officially frozen.
Your numbers, and you could say they're not that far off from last year.
Yeah, Justin's just a little bit better.
They're actually worse.
They are worse, but they're not that far off. They're not that far off.
Brandon's frozen in time, dude.
Hey, I have a question. Let it go. I have a question for you guys.
Brandon, you got to log off and log back on, man.
Yeah, man. All we see is your
Brandon, come back because I really want Sean. I really want you to get this question.
One more comment. Sean is even more handsome with the bag on his face. You're even more handsome with the scar on your face.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Jesus.
Go ahead with your question, Sean. We hit the chat.
I really want Brandon to come back. I think his internet failed.
Well, we'll figure it out. We got to keep the show moving.
You know what? When he comes back, he could jump in on this. I just have a question for you guys. Because last week we were talking about all offensive coaches, and Dustin and Brandon were very big on the defensive coaches. And I was actually
putting words in my mouth. I don't like it.
I thought you wanted a defensive coach.
No, I want a head coach. I don't care about defense or offense. I said that on the show. I want a leader of men.
All
He
right.
will set a culture for this team.
All right. I want to ask you this because I heard this. I heard this. I can't remember if it was on ESPN or radio. I don't remember where I heard this. But they were saying about Brian Flores getting a second chance in Chicago as the head coach of the Chicago Bears, that this was a real possibility. So I want to get your thoughts on Brian Flores, who was a disaster in Miami, but has earned his way in Minnesota. Brandon, I was just asking because I know weren't you big on getting a defensive coach last week?
No, we're both big on getting
no,
a leader of men.
No, my point was that neither
You can't.
neither.
No,
is
yeah, it's about being a head coach.
Okay, so this falls in the parameters of what you guys were wanted.
In a way, yeah.
Well, he's not a rookie head coach.
Yeah.
John, but you also have to be in fear of if Brian Flores gets an interview and they don't hire him as to be the coach, he might sue them. It's what he did to the Miami Dolphins when they fired him. So you got to be careful with Brian Flores, man. He can bring.
Hey, I'm just asking a question. Would this be a guy that you guys would be considered? And say it's the end of the season, and the Bears made the decision to hire Brian Flores as their coach. Would this be a guy you guys are happy with?
I know I wouldn't be happy with him. I do think Brian Flores is no bullshit guy, but I also think he treats his players unfairly and is an asshole. And I don't think that's. I think there's a difference between being a productive asshole and just an asshole who just is rude to be disrespectful. I mean, he literally went up to Tua Tagovailoa and told him he is not a good quarterback. At least that's what Tua says. That's what we're hearing from him now. So, I mean, dude, you can't say that to your players, Sean. That's absolutely ridiculous. You don't. That's immature, is what that is. If you want to get rid of Tua and you don't agree that if you don't think he's going to be a good quarterback, then get rid of him. But you don't go up to the player and discourage him and tell him, "Hey, you suck. You're not good. You're going to suck in this league." That's not good for any coach. No manager or supervisor in any position in the world should ever do that with any of the terrible members of their staff.
I agree.
Coach him and make them better. If you can't coach him, fire him.
But what I'm saying,
I don't want Brian Flores.
I was going to say, do you think he learned from that and could be a better head coach because he made mistakes in his first stint?
It's quite possible. I think Raheem Morris is a good example of that guy. A guy who got the chance too early, failed, went back to the D coordinator position, and now is doing a pretty damn good job in Atlanta. And I expected him to. So he can follow that template. But if I'm choosing between Vrabel and Flores, it's not even a conversation for me.
Dustin
Vernon, I would take Vrabel over Flores as well.
Yeah.
Dustin Vernon, Sean, this is the list of coaches that 4 different people wrote this article together. One of them, Adam Schefter, had a part of this article as well. These are the different coaches that they are saying are guaranteed getting a head coaching job interview. Doesn't mean they're all going to be head coaches, obviously. Sure. Each one of them will at least get a
lot of openings this year.
Okay, so here you go. So you guys, I'm going to read you the list, and then you guys tell me if anybody jumps out at you. Maybe you changed your mind in the last week. Here's the list. Ben Johnson is the most popular offensive coordinator for Detroit. Another one who's very popular is Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, which I don't understand. We can get into that in a couple. I don't understand that at all. Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator for Washington. Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. Todd, I don't even know how you Monken.
Todd Monken, yeah.
The offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens.
The Ravens, yeah.
Bill Belichick, who's a free agent head coach. Mike Vrabel, who's a free agent head coach. Vance Joseph, who is a defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos.
Hey, Kyle, hold on. Did you say you didn't want Todd Monken, Justin?
No,
I don't want Todd Monken.
Okay.
No way.
Okay, so you got Vance Joseph. They're saying he's guaranteed going to get interviews. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, is guaranteed to get interviews. Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jeff Haley, the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for Minnesota. Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. And once again, Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick are both right now free agent head coaches, and they were both also.
Zach Robinson actually tickles me up a little bit. I don't mind Zach Robinson. He comes from that. Doesn't he come from the McVay tree? Yep.
Yeah, he
does. You say, doesn't Liam Cohen come from the McVay tree?
Arthur Smith, no thank you on that, Barrett.
I don't want Arthur Smith.
I think he might just be an offensive coordinator.
Brian, where is Liam Cohen from?
Liam Cohen was Tampa Bay.
He was the offensive
McVay, right?
He was the offensive coordinator for.
No, he was a quarterbacks coach from Sean McVay, right? Wasn't that what he was?
The Rams
last year?
No, that was Zach Robinson last year.
Liam Cohen was on the Kentucky Wildcats, dude.
Yeah, great point by Dan Blakemore here, guys. You know who else comes from the McVay tree? Waldron.
Yes, but they have said, experts have said that Shane Waldron is the most unlike McVay of everybody who's come out of his tree.
I have a question,
in terms
though.
of play calling,
that's like another way of saying he's the worst of all of them.
Yeah, he didn't learn anything from McVay. He left and then did his own shit.
Here, can I ask you guys a question, though? In 21, Waldron finished 21st as offensive coordinator. In 22, he finished 12th. And in last year, he finished 14th. How does he just come to Chicago, forget how to coach, and suck dick? I
Because
don't get
he
it.
had a veteran quarterback running a veteran offense. Now he's a rookie quarterback running an offense with no offensive line where every single player is running 30 yards downfield. He's an idiot. Sean, we talked about it on the Wednesday podcast. Short passes. How many short passes did you see?
But
Yeah,
that's
no,
what
I've
I'm
been calling
saying.
for that since
If you
week
watch,
one.
if you watch
It's not happening.
Waldron if you watch Waldron and go look at his tape from last year, he was attacking all
right,
three
Sean,
levels.
you can't
He didn't
defend the fact that
consistently
he's
just
not
throw
running the
downfield.
ball. You can't defend that. That's not defendable. You have a rookie quarterback. You have to run the ball. You have to run the ball. Every coach in the NFL knows that. Burton said it. Look at these rookie quarterbacks who are successful right now. You know why? Because they're all running the ball. They're keeping the ball out of the rookie
Justin
quarterback's
Herbert
hands
is going to
as much
have
as they possibly can.
the most impressive season that he's had as a quarterback, and it
He's
won't be
passing
because
touchdowns.
of statistics. It'll be because of winning, because they're running the football and playing defense.
They're winning games, and he has 6 passing touchdowns, guys. He has 6, and they're still winning football games.
6 and 3.
He's thrown 6 touchdowns.
Can I share my stat of the week with you guys?
Stat of the week.
Caleb Williams is the third worst sack taken per pass attempt of any quarterback in any season in the past 15 years at 12.9.
Who are the two above him?
Just
Who are the two above him?
Do you know who the
David
other
Carr? David Carr.
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields and
Mitch Trubisky.
Justin Fields. Justin Fields is first 2 years, and Caleb Williams are 1, 2,
behind
3
door number 1. Justin Fields.
Sean, do you have that draft profile real quick, just for listeners? Can you read that draft profile?
I gotta look it up.
So you have to start comparing what Caleb Williams is doing as compared to what they were saying about him coming into the draft. Like, hey, what's his flaw?
And then you got to point to coaching with that though too, Kyle, because you got to know those things when this guy's coming into the league.
Listen, I'm not saying that's the.
But
I'm not saying that there's a reason for them happening. I'm just saying they haven't gone away. Since he's been drafted, these haven't gone away.
Either
way, they still exist.
Yeah. Well, okay, listen, you go to a new job, you might have some characteristics you're bringing to that new job. It's the person who's there to train you. It's their job to make sure that you're doing the right things on the job. And if you have some traits that might make you not as good at that job, it's their job to talk to you about those things and get you to think about those things.
Yeah,
that's part of.
But if they don't take responsibility for that and do that, you still get fired.
You need to be trained properly.
You need to get fired.
Here's the draft
fired. Even if your training was terrible, you're still fucking fired at the end of the day. Doesn't matter.
Caleb,
you're still evaluated and fired.
Caleb is a bigger, slower.
If you weren't trained properly, go ahead, Sean.
He's a bigger, slower Kyler. B for accuracy, C for ball placement, B+ as an athlete. Concerns: accuracy, indecision, doing too much, anticipation, tight windows. Does not fully translate to in the pocket with tight window throws, mid downfield ball placement, no anticipation, holds the ball too long, under pressure, he doesn't hit his outlets, and accuracy beyond 10 yards versus good defenses has not been good in college.
Well, under pressure, he doesn't his outlets. That is still happening today, and that is on him. That's on the second play of the game, guys. DeAndre Swift was wide open in the flat.
Wide open.
Oh, yeah, he looked right past it. He looked at it and just ignored it. He didn't miss it. He saw it. He just didn't want it. He wanted something else that was farther down the field.
Yeah, you got to take that, Caleb.
Yeah, and he took a sack because of it. That's his biggest flaw in my mind. But again, to me, that does come back to coaching. If you're watching
so
your
Dustin,
player
which
on
coach
film,
do you want?
What are you talking to him about? Take the quick pass. Take the easy check down. Do it as soon as you see it.
Get the ball out of your hands.
Be hammered into
immediately.
Caleb ain't dumb.
Would it be fair to say that even though Jared Goff went to was the NFC Championship with the Rams, or did he go to the Super Bowl and lose? I can't remember.
I'm sorry, who?
Jared Goff.
They went to the Super Bowl.
They went to the Super Bowl and he lost, right?
The Patriots,
Would it be fair to say that he wasn't that good of a quarterback and Ben Johnson kind of turned a system that fits his profile?
Sean, he went to a Super Bowl.
Very successful quarterback.
I don't know if I'd use that as my defense that he wasn't very good. So that guy went to the Super
I
Bowl.
don't think he was very good. Look at how
we just got another subscriber.
The Rams were ready to toss him away. He wasn't very good for that.
They thought they couldn't get him over the top, but I don't think they said that he was. They thought he was terrible.
Hey, real quick.
What I'm asking is Ben Johnson the reason for his development into right now? He's an elite quarterback in the NFL. You can't say he's not.
it's not just Ben Johnson. It's Goff developing and growing and learning as he's played for
Under Ben
McVay,
Johnson.
and also under Sean McVay. He's had experiences. He's gotten his ass kicked. He's gone to a Super Bowl and lost. Like those are experiences you can't pay for. You just have to have them. I do want to take 1 second, guys, and say
here really quick though. When he was traded to Detroit, everyone said we're never going to win shit with this guy because he's not that good, and he was not.
I was one of those people. I was one of those people. And
look at that's what I'm saying. So you're saying under the scheme and what Ben Johnson has created, he's developed him into a better quarterback than what he was in Los Angeles and created a ton of success.
Guys, 1 sec, please.
Yeah.
We got 2 new subscribers during the show already. We want to say thank you to everybody in the chat, please, for giving these awesome comments and keeping the conversation going. Bear Down Mike, Zach Lipsy, Dan O. We also got Independent Aquaman, Ant Mass, Gianfranco Paoletti, Made Pro, Salt Lake City, Independent Aquaman again. I just read that one twice. Breaking News, Bruce. We love you guys. Thanks for being here.
Obviously, he had somewhere to be, so we got out.
Kelly
And
Jordan.
Kelly Jordan.
Bear Down Mike.
Justin, can you bring that comment back up from Zach?
Slick Sophistication was the other one. Yes.
Yeah.
Which comment are we talking about?
The one where he just said about Seattle or fantasy football people, or
From
so he
Zach?
says, fantasy football podcast talked about how they despise Waldron and
They're
offense.
good. They do a
They're
good
all
job.
from Arizona, and they had firsthand experience with him in that division twice a year. You guys, I'm not even making you guys. There's a guy who comes to a River Street Tavern. His name's Jose. Very nice guy. He travels a lot for work. So this past week he was in Seattle. He actually went from the Arizona Cardinals game, and then he flew to Seattle and he had business to do there, and he came back. He was sitting at the bar Saturday night. I was like, "Hey man, how was your trip? How does the work trip go?" He's like, "Well, remember I told you I went to Seattle after Arizona." I'm like, "Yeah, how was that? I heard Seattle's beautiful." He's like, "Hey, I'll tell you this, man." He's like, I ran into 20 different fans, Seattle fans, Seahawks fans, who were like, "You guys, just so you know, Bears fans, you guys just hired the shittiest offensive coordinator in the NFL. Just letting you guys know."
They're like,
He
thank
said
you for taking
multiple people said that to him. You just hired the shittiest offensive coordinator in the NFL. Multiple Seahawks fans said that. So
Guys, real quick, Zach.
Waldron?
Yeah, for sure, and it's not looked good, and they're right. They should be pretty grateful to us for taking their trash. Zach Lipsy says, "Guys, did you watch Goff last night? 5 interceptions. That's as many as Caleb has all season." Yeah, that's something I was going to point out when you're talking about what you're talking about, Sean. He did throw 5 interceptions. They won the game.
Okay, whatever.
They won the game, but like
they won the game. Rough. You know what? Everyone has a bad day at the office. If you're really going to knock them over one bad game, which they actually won, into the best team.
He's had more than one bad game, but yeah.
Sean, can I ask you a question? What is your opinion? Sean was never a huge Jared Goff fan. When did this?
I just watched his last 6 weeks.
So 6 weeks. So you're taking the 6 weeks over the 5 years or whatever, 6 years, whatever he's been in the NFL.
I've watched him develop in Detroit. He's a solid really good quarterback.
Are you bragging on? Are you bragging on Jared Goff, Ben Johnson, or both?
I'm holding. I think Ben Johnson has a lot to do with what's happened to Jared Goff.
Sean's coaching. Your pick is Ben Johnson, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. Dustin, what's you're still sticking with Bill Belichick?
Why would I not?
Brandon,
he's the guy who can save his franchise.
Brandon, you still want? Who did you want, Brandon? Bill Belichick or Mike? I couldn't remember who you decided on. You said like 4 different coaches last time. You said Liam Cohen.
Yeah, I don't want to say anybody right now, man.
You sound a lot better, Brandon.
Here, guys, let me say this. We've done all this talking. I mean, there's so much to digest with this. We could really go for 2 more hours, honestly. Yeah. Eberflus needs to be gone. Waldron needs to be gone today. We need to be, when we wake up in the morning, we need to be reading that they fired Waldron and they're getting ready for the Packers with a new offensive coordinator with a better game plan. They need to be able to focus on that this week. We're about to play Green Bay, and all anyone's going to be talking about or thinking about is, are they going to fire Waldron? What's going to change? And Matt Eberflus is saying things are going to change. And Matt Eberflus is saying that the decision is his and his alone on Waldron. So if that's going to be made today. Matt Eberflus is saying.
Yeah, so if it doesn't change, that's also on Matt Eberflus. He's an idiot.
His alone, correct. So,
and I hate to say
what it boils down to, guys, is are we going to see Caleb Williams take more steps back for the rest of this season?
Yes.
And our number one overall pick quarterback, who was supposed to be the first quarterback that we can bank on in Chicago to turn the corner and turn this into a modern offense, are we watching him get fucked up by this team?
Yes.
And is that the rest of this season, guys?
Yes,
is that the
you
rest
are.
of this season?
No,
Hey,
yes.
guys.
I mean, you know the Bears. What do you so based on the Bears in the past for the last 20, 30 years you've been watching them, are the Bears going to get better this season and make Caleb Williams look a lot better?
Kyle,
No, absolutely not.
Did I not say this on Wednesday?
If they fire Waldron, I have a little more hope.
Listen,
If they fire
before this Patriots game, Dustin, I said on Wednesday, if the Bears beat the Patriots, I believe in my heart it's the last game they're going to win this year.
Yeah, I didn't think the win would have mattered. I
don't know. I just thought that would be their last win of the year.
I mean,
I don't see a win on this schedule. I don't see a win on this schedule.
So then, exactly. So then, our focus needs to turn to. Our focus needs to.
I just how you don't beat the Patriots is absolutely mind-blowing, unbelievable.
So having said what you guys are saying, our focus needs to turn to how is Caleb Williams being helped? How is Caleb Williams performing? How are they helping him develop? That needs to be the focus for the rest of this season, guys. It's got to be the only thing that we give a fuck about.
Dustin, going into this game, wouldn't you think them taking steps to make that adjustment to start worrying about the development of Caleb Williams, stop worrying about scoring 30 points a game? Don't you think going into this game with the most banged up offensive line we've had all year that they would have been like run.
It defies logic. It defies logic. That's why they need to fire Waldron.
Yeah, what makes you going to change that anytime soon? They're going to change that shit.
Do you think Thomas?
They need to fire Waldron this week. I was sure that he would be fired today. I think he's going to be fired this week, guys. I think
he is too.
Go ahead.
I think he is too.
What do you got to say?
Yeah. Do you think Thomas Brown, who coached me and Dustin, did a Chicago sports podcast show about this, and I Dustin, you remember the chat was even getting down on me for how much, I don't know, how much value I put in the fact that the Bears have a coach who just coached a rookie starting quarterback. Like Thomas Brown might have.
Brian, don't you have any reservations in the fact that Bryce Young looked like absolute dog shit?
Hold on, man. Thomas Brown might have a entirely different
approach and perspective
of how to do this. Like he might be thinking to himself, Thomas Brown might be sitting behind Shane Waldron probably for the last 3 weeks, thinking to himself, why are we not running the fucking ball? Like,
guys, we got a new person in the chat, Chris O. Thanks for being here,
Chris O.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button.
I agree with Dustin. I think a change. You have to change something, don't you? You don't have a choice.
They're not at that point in the process yet, Brandon. They're still processing the process and how they're going to evaluate the process and get to the point of the process where they can evaluate, and then they'll get back to us with that.
Brandon, do you worry that Caleb Williams, because one thing Caleb Williams has been very good at, we've all talked about, is he's not throwing interceptions. Bryce Young threw a lot of them. He threw a lot of them last year. A lot. Like
this is a great. Hey guys, we shouted out here. Yeah, for sure. Bryce Young was bad last year, and Tom, and he had a big say in the game plan and how it was being called. Chris O says, weren't we screwed from the get-go? What high-class offensive coordinator were we going to get? No one was going to come to Chicago when Flus was in a lame duck year, and everyone saw that. That's a fucking great
amazing point. Yeah, you're 100% correct, Chris. Who wanted to come to Chicago knowing that they were all probably going to get fired by the end of the season?
Shane Waldron's like,
hired the right guy.
Waldron's like, I'll take it. I'll take the job.
So we hired the right guy then.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what?
I guess.
You know what? If
the one guy that would have come here.
If hiring Shane Waldron is what it took to get rid of Matteberflus, then so be it. So be it. The only thing that sucks now is we have to worry about not only the health of Caleb Williams, but these developing bad habits, which he's already doing. That's what I'm telling you, Zach. That's what I'm telling you, Zach. I'm not saying that it's all Caleb Williams' fault, but what I am saying is the coaching staff has put him in a bad position, and he is now starting to develop bad habits. He's not taking checkdowns. He's missing open receivers. He's holding onto the ball too long. There's so many mistakes he's making now that a lot of them are on him. Even in plays where he gets 4, 5, 6 seconds to throw the ball, he's starting to learn bad habits. If they don't put an end to this now, Caleb Williams is going to end up being not a good quarterback in the NFL. You have to stop this shit now.
Yeah,
thank you, Chris.
I think David Carr could have been a good quarterback in the NFL. I think that's a good example. They ruined him. They ruined him.
They're
And
fucking
doing
this
the
kid
same
up.
thing
He's
to
getting
Caleb Williams.
coached not to throw interceptions so much. He's petrified to take a chance and freezing up.
And what am I saying at the beginning of the year? Let him throw passes downfield.
Very
You know what,
true,
though? You guys, I will say.
That's
I think-
changed.
Yeah, Caleb Williams is throwing the ball. I mean, it's not like he's not throwing that. He's throwing the ball 40 times
They
a
dropped
game.
him back 40 times this game.
Yeah, they're letting him make mistakes. He's just being very hesitant, and I think they're teaching him. He's seeing ghosts. His pocket management's getting worse. He's developing
very-
bad
Kyle,
habits.
Kyle, he's not seeing ghosts. Those are people.
I agree, dude. I'm just saying on the play, the 2 plays a game where he does have 5 seconds,
Dead people.
he's seeing ghosts, right? I mean, do you not agree with that? I saw they counted it 5.39 seconds Caleb Williams had, and he screwed that play up.
It's
And I
like
think-
it's like he's
because-
afraid to throw the ball. It's like when it's in front of him, he wants the bigger play or something, and then when he's looking for that, his receivers aren't open. It's maddening to watch this offense operate, because here, listen, we haven't even mentioned the fact that they had to call 2 timeouts in that game to avoid delay of game penalties. And DeAndre Swift was on his press conference saying the operation was great, the plays were coming in on time. So what the fuck is happening? Why are you calling 2 timeouts to avoid delay of game penalties after like what were pretty solid plays, and then setting themselves back with pre-snap penalties, guys? This offense is not good enough to overcome that shit.
Dustin Vernon, would you guys?
Second in 100 in this fucking
Dustin,
team.
would you like to see Caleb Williams doing less pre-snap and post-snap stuff?
Fuck yes. Caleb Williams, I'm done with it. You know, we talked about how it was a positive of his game starting the season and how impressive it was, but it seems to me that he sometimes changes out of run plays into pass plays, and it never fucking goes well. And it also seems to me that he's doing a little too much, and the offense just is getting out of rhythm because of it.
Yeah,
That's
and
the way I feel.
is it fair to say, especially to Zach, who defends Caleb Williams to death, God bless you, Zach, is it fair to say that maybe some of this pre-snap stuff, how jumbled up all this stuff in his head is it fair to say that
Limited.
that is part of the reason that Caleb Williams is struggling? There's just too much shit going on in his head.
You just think about this. And
even the plays where he has opportunities, he's just thinking about too much. It's just too much shit to process.
Yeah, and
dumb
I
it
think
down. Dumb
it
down.
Kyle, I think he's fully capable of doing that, but not this year, not right now, not the
with
way
his
this
offensive line
is performing, not with the
you
offensive
line. You want to know what it is, guys? They drafted Caleb Williams, and they were like, here's a plug and play. We don't have to train a quarterback. We don't have to coach him up. He's ready to go. But the biggest thing is that this organization's more worried about optics and money than they are about winning. And until ownership makes winning football games their priority, there's nothing's going to change in this organization, and we're going to waste another good quarterback.
Sean, you did something terrifying.
Yeah, Roshan.
You put a rookie quarterback, not even just a rookie quarterback, a number 1 overall pick.
Brandon sounds like he's tracking a well.
It puts the lotion on the skin.
Guys, help! Come on. Lassie. Listen, if the Bears approach, sorry, Brandon, if the Bears approach it that way, Sean, the way you just said, like that's indefensible. If they approach it that way, then they're just not a good.
I mean, hey, can I ask you a question?
I hope
Has it been any different in the last 15 years?
Listen, I'm saying if they thought about it, like Caleb is just so good, he can just do this to start. Then they're fucked up in the head, man.
I honestly think they thought they drafted Michael Jordan and he would just be fine.
Michael Jordan sat on the bench for 2 years, dude. Jordan didn't start his rookie season.
Well, Michael Jordan did start his rookie season. He got injured. He played
Chris
O says he said, yeah, and Roshan Johnson ran the ball once. You're running the ball 3 times, and depending on players being open downfield on 3rd and long. They're running play action without even setting up the run, guys. How does that make any sense? And yeah, Chris, we touched on it earlier. The Bears handed the ball to running backs in this game 17 times. They dropped Caleb back 40 times. He was sacked 9 times.
You know, we've also talked on the show a lot about how they obviously don't love Roshan Johnson because he's averaging like a carry a game for the last 4 games.
Oh, another great pick by Ryan Poles.
Yeah, Caleb Williams is Zach. You're right. Caleb Williams is responsible for a quarter of his sacks this season, for sure. Probably a minimum.
100%.
Minimum was a quarter of his sacks. Brendan, what were you going to say, man? Before.
Sorry, Brandon.
The echo.
What?
What were you about to say when Dustin said you sounded like you were in a well?
Oh, that's long gone, dude.
I will say, guys,
that was like
I don't.
Kyle, that was like fucking months ago.
How high are you, Reed? Yeah, so I do believe, guys, honestly, that they could go get Bill Belichick and have Ben Johnson as the offensive coordinator. And if you don't fix this offensive line, you're never going to be a competitive team in the NFC North. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
I
The
agree.
offensive line, to me, you fire the coaches, you draft an offensive line, and then you stand a chance. And that's what Ryan Poles has to do this offseason.
And to have a chance at
fire the
Caleb,
coaching staff, yes. And if you want to save Caleb Williams' career,
fire
you need to
Waldron
fire
now.
the coaching staff, and you need to sign or draft an offensive line. I don't give a shit how you get them. And I'm not talking about guys who are on the fringe players like Nate Davis, who had a 64 Pro Football Focus score coming in that free agency class. I'm talking about guys like James Daniels, who's number 1 in the NFL by Pro Football Focus at guard for 92.9. Guys who you cannot screw up. You can't screw it up.
They should have re-signed
You
him.
cannot screw it up.
Stop getting players who play like you.
Yeah, right.
And like I said, if you want to save Caleb's season this season, Waldron needs to go, guys. There's no way around. We all watched that game and said, la 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 la. Yeah, we watched that game yesterday, guys. And I just had a Home Alone moment. Sorry, it just brought me back. But we all watched that game yesterday, guys, and could not understand what we were watching. Like, it's so simple. It's right in front of you. What the recipe for success needs to be with this team and with this rookie quarterback to have a chance.
And this offensive line.
And they're doing the exact opposite. And yes, this offensive line. And this Bears team is doing the exact opposite. The exact opposite. It's mind-numbing. I don't know where to put this shit. I don't know how to process it. I'm in the process. I'm not at that point in the process of trying to process this shit in my head, guys. I'm at a loss. I'm at a complete loss. This Bears team is
and
ruining.
so is Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams
is definitely at a loss. I tried to find that picture to add it really quick of Waldron smiling. I just want to jump through the screen and punch him in his face.
Yeah, with Caleb is just like, dude, get the fuck out of here.
Dude.
Caleb wanted to get up so bad.
Caleb was like, oh my God, this guy's still talking to me.
This dude's still sitting next to
I
me.
hate this guy.
You could tell just the sight of Shane, of Shane Waldron angers him. Just the sight of him, just sitting next to him, angers him.
He turns to Tyson Bagent. He's like, if we ignore him long enough, he'll go away.
Tano, that's not a locker. It's
lame.
We got another new member in the chat, guys. This is a record for new members in the chat in one night. We want to thank you, Iris Garcia, for being here. Says hi, Bruce. Appreciate you. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe.
Thanks to it looks like breaking news. Bruce probably brought them along, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks,
Bruce.
You, man.
Keep it coming.
Yeah. You guys, I will say real quick before we move on.
Hold on.
Stop doing the clap, I guess, and just let the sound effects do the work.
Offensive linemen have been flying off the shelf in recent drafts.
Make that a thing.
That's a thing.
And offensive linemen have always been flying off the shelves in drafts, always, because we just talked about it. It's probably the most important position on the field besides quarterback, right? And I'll tell you guys right now, of course, this is just the Bears and their luck. This is not, and this is by draft experts, this is not a great draft class for offensive linemen.
My computer's about to die, guys.
There's just not a ton of them available this year. And I will say this, there's a lot of tackles the Bears could draft to transition to guard, but in particular, the guard position in this draft, in the top 50, they have two. And one of them is near the bottom of the 50.
Kyle, that's guards aren't typically taken in the top 50 in the NFL draft.
Well, I mean, but dude, you have guys like Quentin Nelson who are drafted number 6 overall. I mean, guards and centers can be very impact blue chip players in the NFL. You can get them in the draft. They have the two guards. Well, he's a tackle, but the two guards they have in the draft here are Tate.
I'm just talking about linemen in general.
Yeah, Tate Ratledge from Georgia and Tyler Booker from Alabama. Those are the only two guards they have in the top 50. I don't know anything about those guys.
Can I be honest with you, man? I don't want the Bears to focus on guard in the draft. I want a left tackle and I want a center. And guard can come however you can get it. If you want to go,
yeah, for sure. I like Donovan Jackson, guys. I like Donovan Jackson a lot out of OSU.
And Ryan Bates.
I think he could be a really
Ryan Bates will be a starting guard on this football team. I assure you of that.
I think that's crazy, man.
As much as I like Rome, he was a want, not a need. Poles had opportunities to go get O-line. Connor Williams was available. Bear Down Mike says this, guys. He was a luxury. He was not a necessity.
That's why I asked earlier if there's any draft remorse now that Jared Verse is tearing up the league.
Listen, I would take Jared Verse right now over Rome in terms of what this offense is doing. Honestly, though, if you're looking at this offense, guys, Rome seems to be the receiver that has the most chemistry with Caleb. Rome seems to be the best receiver on this team.
He's open most often.
I'm gonna hold on.
Rome's the only one who hasn't given up.
Hold on.
I'm gonna like fuck this guy.
He's earning his next contract.
Yeah,
DJ got paid.
You guys know me. I'm the party. I'm Mr. Pessimistic. I'm
the party pooper.
I think Rome could still possibly be a better receiver than Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. I firmly believe that
Marvin Harrison's really good, man.
I neither one of those Malik Neighbors early on. Yeah, I think Rome can still be the guy.
It was a luxury pick. It was not a necessity pick.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
After the draft, Torrey Taylor was a luxury pick. You needed an offensive line more than you needed a punter.
You can get a punter off the fucking street, guys.
Yeah, it's a luxury pick,
guys. If you
punter.
Hold on, this goes back.
There's a punter.
But he's going to be Ryan Poles' first Pro Bowler.
If you get a head coach that figures this thing out, Kyle, if Poles builds an offensive line, you get a head coach that figures this thing out. Rome Odunze is like a 1,500-yard, 9 touchdown.
I already said it, Vernon. He's Vernon. We're only in the league. Sean and I are in. We're only allowed to keep a keeper drafted after the 4th round. Right now on my team, I have Brock Bowers, Rome Odunze, Trey Benson, and Lab McConkey. I'm still leaning towards Rome Odunze. I am still today. I'm going to see what they do with the coaching position in the offseason, but I am still leaning towards keeping
Brock Bowers. That's a tough
he has the highest ceiling of the 4 guys.
Yeah, I'm taking Bowers. Yeah, guys, Kelly Jordan. They should have got Kingsbury so Caleb could have a familiar face. It looks like it would have been a better pick, but Flus was too busy worrying that Kingsbury was a threat to his job. We've mentioned this. We talked about this last week. The fact that they interviewed Kingsbury.
That's a great comment, Kelly.
Yeah, it is. And they interviewed Kingsbury with the sole intent of just getting information on Caleb.
It was a Caleb.
They never gave him an honest shot at the job.
Well, yeah, but you guys
on them for that. They should have been interviewing him for the position. And then what if he blows you away? Now you got a guy that wasn't even on your radar. You can't go into an interview with this is just my intent. I just want to get information about Caleb Williams. Go into the interview with good faith, and maybe you'll find something out that you didn't know before you went into it. That's the point of an interview, right? Right.
That's what I said last week. Remember, I said that you guys they shouldn't determine their coach like, oh, we want Bill Belichick because he's leader of men, or we want Ben Johnson because the offense looks so good in Detroit. You should determine your coach by when you sit down in meetings with them and interview. That's what the interview process is for. That's what it's for. The interview process is for figuring out what type of person you believe he is when you're sitting in a room with him, looking him man to man, eye to eye, and asking him questions and seeing his responses. That's how you pick your coach. The Bears aren't doing that. They're not doing that. They haven't done that at all. They just pick guys who are yes men. They need Ryan Poles to exactly what you guys said. They need Ryan Poles to go into the McCaskey's office and go, hey, you want me to be GM here, right? You want me to be GM?
Let me do my fucking job.
Yeah, give me the keys to the car and leave me the fuck alone. I got this shit. I got it. I promise. You put your faith in me. You let me go hire my coach. This team. I do agree with Vernon as well. I think Ryan Poles believes the most important person on this team is Caleb Williams, and he's going to hire the coach who he believes will help Caleb Williams the most, who I think is going to end up being an offensive-minded coach. It's going to be an offensive-minded coach. It's going to, because he thinks Caleb Williams is the most important part of the team, which he is. Ryan Poles would be correct in that assessment. The quarterback is the most important position in NFL and American sports. So, of course, he's the most important position on the team. So you should hire a coach. The Bears should be trying to hire a coach who can make an offense like Shanahan, McVay, Andy Reid, where guys are wide open all the time, and you make it as easy on your quarterback as possible.
But that can be an offensive coordinator, Kyle. That doesn't have to be the head coach. There are offensive coordinators that can do that. Now you're getting into this two-step process again, where not only do you have to get 10 out of 10, nail it on the head coaching hire, but you got to do it on every other position as well. Well, that's going to be the process no matter what.
You have to.
But you're going to fire people every year, guys. You're never going to have a perfect coaching staff.
No, you have to hire the right coach that will make the right hires of the other coaches, man. That's really what it comes down to. They trusted Flus to make these coaching hires, and look how that's worked out.
And the only way to do that is to ask them. Right?
But again, who trusted?
Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, who's going to be your offensive coordinator? Who's going to be your defensive coordinator?
I expected you to show a picture of him, Sean, with like a porcupine eating his face or something.
No, but this guy right here
There you go.
has hired 3 of the 4 worst coaches in Bears history, and he's still at the helm, boys, since 2011.
All right,
So-
well, let me ask you guys before we get off here. So that's what kind of.
Oh, we got to get off. We're having such a good
coming on
time.
the show. You guys,
I don't
what do you
wanna
guys?
go.
I love
believe-
getting off.
How far do you guys believe this Bears team is for competing for a playoff spot? What do you think they need to fix besides coach and offensive
Kyle,
line?
I've said
Where are
this-
the
I've-
holes? Tell me
I've
the
said
holes.
this- I've said
Can
this
they fix this team in one offseason?
I said this 100 times. I don't believe talent is the whole issue on this team. If they get a coaching staff that knows how to work, Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl being sacked the most in the freaking league a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Sean, did you see this defense without Montez Sweat? They might need another defensive end. That might be a hole on this team.
You have
That could be a hole on this team.
Hey, you have $72 million, but what I'm trying to tell you is this team is not as bad as it's being represented on the field currently right
I
now.
think we all agree
If
with
you
that.
had a coaching staff, you just asked what needs to change. I don't think it's the talent. You need to add some talent like every team
Okay,
does.
where?
But
This
you
team
need-
is more talented than the last couple of teams that have beat the
Yes.
shit out of it. That's for
It
sure.
should not be this
That's for
bad. Well,
Where do you need to
obviously,
add talent?
you need offensive line and you need a
Offensive
D tackle.
line, pass
Outside
rush.
of that, you're looking
Offensive line and
okay.
pass rush.
You should be able to compete.
Mhm.
So you,
I think
so
we're
you
good at running back. I think
don't
we're
think they
all-
need You don't think they need
I
a D
think you need
tackle and a
another
DN
running back.
and another safety in case Jaquan Brisker's brain gets
I
rattled
like,
again?
I like our safeties, man. I like our safeties.
Hicks had a good game. Hicks keeps
Yeah.
proving me wrong.
Yeah.
Hicks had a really
Hicks,
good game.
Hicks
He
is
did.
kind of good.
He
Taylor
did.
Jones has been
Vernon,
good.
can this be
Tyrell
fixed
Smith's
in
been
one
good.
offseason?
I would draft a safety though. I would draft a safety if there
And
was a good
Vernon,
one.
and to that point, can this to that question, can this be fixed in one offseason? If
Yes,
any,
yes.
if any of the 5 offensive linemen, who are you keeping?
Kyle, yes, absolutely. This can be fixed in one offseason
Darnell Wright.
because the reality
Yeah,
is
that's it.
because the reality is there's coaches in the NFL that could do more with the team they have right now
Correct.
today. So yes,
Today.
so yes, today.
Today.
So yes, I think the right coach is the person that answers that question. Not can
Look
they-
what Harbaugh did with the
Not-
Chargers this year,
not-
guys.
not Kyle. Can
That
they
team does
flip
not
the
have
whole?
a shit ton of
Can
talent.
they flip the whole offensive line, or can they add a pass rusher that's as good as Sweat or better? Can they do enough on the offensive line with a head coach who can figure this shit out and not run a draw on a 2-minute drill without a timeout?
Well, who on the
Yeah.
offensive
And
line needs to be replaced?
who cannot
Who needs
get
to be replaced
13 yards? Who needs to be replaced on this team besides the
on the
coaches?
offensive line? You're telling me the Bears have 5 starting offensive line right now. It should be Braxton Jones. It would be Tevin Jenkins. It would be Ryan Bates.
I would replace everybody
Coleman
with Darnell.
Shelton. and
I would
Coleman
replace
Shelton.
Darnell Wright.
everybody but Darnell Wright. But I would
Yes.
only do maybe 3 of those through.
So you guys are out on Tevin Jenkins. Everybody here is like, I'm done. Tevin
Listen,
Jenkins.
man,
is done.
going into this game, I said I said we're going to see Tevin Jenkins on the ground multiple times in this game. We only got one because he was out for the rest of the game. Tevin Jenkins cannot stay in a game, let alone a season.
That's my.
That's
I
a
agree.
huge problem.
Hold on,
That's a huge
hold on.
non-starter.
I think you
agree with
go.
Dustin
I
on
think
that.
you.
That's
I
my
think in the
problem.
offensive line, you go 3 in the draft that you expect to start. 3 offensive line that you expect to
Vernon, those
start.
have to be your
That's
top
an
3 picks.
insane thing
Those
to
have
do.
to be your
That's
top 3
insane.
picks.
I disagree
Those
with
are your
that.
top
I
3
disagree
picks.
with that.
No, Kyle, those are your top 3 picks. A first
They have
rounder
to be
and 2
because you
seconds.
don't expect anybody else to start.
Even
Third,
then,
fourth
with
round
your
picks
top
are not
3
expected to
picks,
start.
That's 3/5 of your starting offensive line are rookies. Whoa, whoa.
There's enough free agents where you can grab a
That's
couple,
tough.
grab a stud in the draft.
All right, well,
add a
here, now I'll
couple
tell you
free
guys this.
agency,
You know what the
and go
average-
option there.
You got
So,
top free agency. You guys know what the average tackle or average good tackle or good guard costs in free agency?
15 million.
17 million for guards, 21 million for tackles.
well, guess what, Kyle? Just like anything else in life, you want good shit, it costs
Here we
money.
go.
So
a
you're
new
getting
one.
one
Not
free
really,
agent.
Hank Aaron. Let's hit the clap.
You're getting
Sean,
one free agent.
Get that clap.
You're getting one major free
I'm
agent.
coming. It's a long way down.
He does have Caleb Williams and Minnie Mouse ears, though.
Not really.
Thanks for joining us. Hit that like
Thanks
button.
for
hit that
joining us, man.
subscribe. We always celebrate new members of the
Oh,
chat. It's
I think the Bears need to sign a new right tackle in free agency. And that being, I think it should be James Daniels if he's available. You put him
Right
next
tackle?
or right guard. Sorry. You put
I
him
was
next
gonna say-
you put him next to right tackle Darnell Wright. So there your right side of your line is good, right?
solidified. solidified.
I think here's the question, guys. This is what it's going to come down to.
Hold on, Kyle,
Sean, wait. If you can't address all 4 positions on the offensive line that you want to address in this offseason, if you're not able to do that, either Braxton Jones is your starting left tackle, or Tevin Jenkins is re-signed. One of those two is probably going to be here. One of those two is probably. You can't address all 4 positions. It's almost impossible.
Tevin Jenkins is the better player. Braxton here more often. It's going to be a big task undertaking this offensive line to fix in one offseason, guys.
Ryanpoles did it before. Ryanpoles did it before. He did it in Kansas City.
It's tough. It's hard. It's hard to pull off. If you're asking me that question, Kyle, that you asked, how quick can the Bears turn this around? After watching that game yesterday, I don't think it's an offseason. I don't know.
Neither do I.
But Brandon and Sean do make very good points that if they change this coaching staff, things could click pretty quickly. And we see that happen across the league. That new coach effect, it can make a big difference.
So I think you and I agree.
Kyle, really quick, rookie quarterback. The Texans were picked to get 3 wins last year. They won their first playoff game with a rookie quarterback, new head coach, new offensive coordinator. It can't happen in 1 year. Absolutely. And the Texans are still not that good of a football team.
Sean, you're making what I'm about to say exactly. And Dustin, I think you kind of agree with me as well, and we'll see what Brennan thinks. But what you guys are saying is when they make these changes, especially if these offensive linemen are rookies, like Brennan said, they need time to adjust as well, guys. They're not going to come in and be the best offensive line in football.
That's another fucking half a year.
That's the case. Yes. So Dustin's saying next year is going to be where we expected to be this year. Yeah. That's what next year is going to be. What we thought this year was going to be.
Possibly.
Yes. So you're still going backwards 1 year. Still going backwards 1 year. So the Bears fucked it up again.
Kyle,
it really depends on
hold on. Of course
Brandon,
it is. Of course next year is going to be this year all over again. But
basically
this
Caleb's rookie season will be next year.
Okay, but this year the expectation was playoffs and 10 wins. So even if you draft a rookie offensive line next year, the expectation is still this year. I agree with you. It remains the same. You need to be in the playoffs. Offensive line is a position. If you're talking about guards, especially offensive, you have to have a left tackle and a center through the draft, guys. You have to. You have to have.
I love this.
I think you sign a veteran.
I love this from Chris O, guys.
I think you have to sign a veteran.
Vernon, I agree. Left tackle has to come out of the draft. You need the guy who's going to be here for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
You need the young guy who's going to be here for the next 10 years.
I agree. I like Donovan Jackson, guys, out of Ohio State. I think that's a guy.
I like Will Campbell out of LSU.
Oh, yeah, he's the best. He's the best. I just don't think the Bears are going to have that high of a pick.
They probably won't. Well, I don't know.
I mean, shit, if they lose out, they got
you guys. Here's the tackles projected in the first 2 rounds. Kevin Banks out of Texas, Wyatt Millam out of West Virginia, Will Campbell out of LSU, Josh Cornerly out of Oregon, Cameron Williams out of Texas, Irsay out of Minnesota, Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, and Emory Jones out of LSU. Those are the top projected tackles.
Isn't that first guy like Texas A&M or something? Kevin Blanks or something like that?
Texas.
Kyle, wait, Kyle.
I'll take Will Campbell over him.
Kyle, wait. What's Irsay's first name?
Don't. I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to. Iriante. It's impossible.
Listen, Donovan Jackson was not on that list. Just State, just really run the ball all over. Who did they play this past week, Sean?
Is that tackle? See tackle?
Yeah, the left tackle. Yes, Donovan Jackson.
I think they played Purdue this weekend. They absolutely destroyed.
Or no, it was 2 weeks ago. Then when I watched Donovan Jackson, it was in a better game. It was against Penn State.
They played Penn State 2 weeks ago.
Donovan Jackson dominated that game. I don't know why he's not on that list. I think he should be.
Hey, Kyle, who was the Ohio State lineman on that list?
Tackle Josh Simmons.
Josh Simmons. Okay.
Okay, let me ask you guys this then. What do you do with what happened to Karan Amagati? So another wasted 3rd round pick for Ryanpoles? Another one?
I think there's still hope for Kiran Amagaji. I think he got unfairly beaten up, getting thrown into a position where he had to perform. It was just a tough situation.
Can I say this once again?
I think Kiran is going to be just fine, guys. And I think he's an option to step into that left tackle.
Okay, so you're saying next year, if you have to fix 3 of the 4 positions, you say you go into next year with Braxton Jones and Kiran Amagaji and fix the other 3.
I don't want Braxton Jones. I'm not re-signing Braxton Jones, so why would I keep him? I don't know.
But what about Kiran? I mean, wasn't that the lead?
Karan is the guy that I would make more so than Braxton Jones, yes.
I'll give Karan some time to prove me wrong, but I don't trust Yale products, especially ones who are injured and haven't played meaningful football in a year and a half. and come back on the field and immediately get hurt.
Okay,
I
but
don't
next year's
trust
a
him.
different year. He
And
needs
it's
some
a
time.
terrible third-round pick by Ryan
Guys,
Poles.
I said this.
Chalk
I
it
said
up.
this. I said this to Dustin.
Ryan Poles wasn't the only person that liked Kiran Amagaji in that draft.
No one else was taking him in the third round.
There was a lot of people that would have taken him after. There was a lot of teams.
I don't think he would. I think Ryan Poles could have got him in the 6th round easy.
You're wrong.
Easy.
You're very wrong.
I said this to Dustin on the bare minimum. I think you just need 3 studs. You need if
and
you
can
get
fill in around the
3
other guys. You can fill in the
studs.
other guys around them. Yeah.
you get 3
But I mean,
studs
3
on
studs
an
is a
offensive
lot.
line.
Brandon,
Yeah,
3
but-
studs is a lot on an
Yeah, but
offensive
you're
line.
looking. If you think Darnell Wright's the guy, you're looking at 2.
Listen,
It's
I've
still
showed
a
you
lot
guys.
in terms of
Ryan Poles.
assets to
Ryan
put
Poles
into.
has rebuilt an offensive line before. I showed you that he did it in 2021 with the Kansas City Chiefs. Here's the question: I wish we could ask Ryan Poles himself on this podcast. Who on the offensive line, which he would obviously never answer, who on the offensive line, Ryan, do you think needs to be replaced? I'd like to hear the answer to that question. That I would love to hear. If he says, I think Braxton Jones and
Well,
Ryan
we'll get
Bates
the answer.
are just fine. I think they're going to be just fine where they're at, and Darnell Wright. And we only need to replace Tevin Jenkins and the center. That's not good.
No, we're gonna get the answer this offseason.
Can I get a timeout, Dustin? I
I'm
just
curious as
looked
to
up
how
his,
though. Dustin, are you going to sign another Matt Pryor and $2 million should be a backup somewhere else? Or are you going to go get James Daniels for $38
No, you
million?
need to do something.
two-year
Like I
deal?
said, I think that question will be answered this offseason in terms of who he replaces and with better players, hopefully. That's
And if
got to
that
be the
doesn't-
plan,
if
right?
that does, what I'm saying is if that process doesn't go good, I still don't think this Bears team can compete for the playoffs. If they get a better
And then,
coach,
like you
but
said,
they
you
don't
gotta
get an
put them all
offensive
together.
line,
Yeah.
they're in trouble. They're
And
in
then,
big
like you
trouble.
said, you got to put them all together, and they got to gel together, and that takes time too. That's
Yeah.
6-7 weeks,
especially if
into the
the
season.
rookies, rookies.
Yeah,
playing in the NFL.
That's just a non-starter to me. Go ahead, Sean. You got Kiran.
No, I will say I don't trust any of this. I'm done. I don't trust any of
I don't
it.
blame you.
I don't trust them to make the right decisions. I don't trust them to draft the right guys. I don't
That's
trust
exactly
them to
how
get
you
the
should
right
feel.
coach. I don't trust
I had to
any-
drag Sean on the podcast, guys.
What'd you say?
Sean, it's
I had to
okay.
drag
Deal with
Sean
this
onto the podcast. He all week
I'm
was
just-
like, I don't think I'm gonna go on. Fuck the Bears. I'm done with this shit. I'm not watching this anymore. I'm like, dude.
Kyle
All I
Harris.
can- all I
gotta
can
talk about
say-
the bad days.
Silence.
All I
Guys,
can say is thank God the Jayhawks are back. I have something to look forward
Harris.
to be a winner.
Harris, we had a moment of silence for this Bears season at the beginning of this show. Yes, this season is over. We are looking to next season, guys. Hopefully, they don't kill Caleb Williams before next season. That's all I'm concerned
That's a
about. Don't
possibility.
destroy our
That's
best
a
asset.
possibility.
Hey Kyle, you want me to talk about next week? The Bears are going to lose 35-6.
No, I
If
don't wanna
we
talk
can
about
get
it.
in field goal
What I want to talk
position
about,
twice.
Dustin, what I want to talk about is something you said. I want to talk about
Please.
who did you say that
Yes, sir.
the best tackle was that you wanted in the draft? That you were like the Bears won't be able to get him.
Will Campbell.
You say Will Campbell is the best tackle of the draft, and the Bears probably won't be able to get him because he's going to be drafted. So, where exactly do you think the Bears are going to land on this draft?
Ooh, it's going to be like 10-14, I think.
You think
it'll
you
be
think
like-
that high?
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
You
I
think the Bears win a game for the rest of the season?
Well,
No.
dude, they drafted ninth the last 2 years.
Do you? I know.
So,
But do you
I
think
mean,
they? I mean, but they were.
shitty.
The last 3 years they had 3 wins and 7 wins. So you think that they can finish with more than 4 wins? I mean, that's what I'm asking.
I mean, if they can pull together 3 more wins, they're still a top 10 drafting team, right? They'll be at 7 wins. That puts them exactly where they were last year.
Guys, I think they're going to draft like fifth or sixth.
Okay, and Will Campbell is going to fall in that area for
Yep.
sure.
And the Bears are going to have a chance at the best tackle in the draft. And like Brennan said,
Here,
if there's
there's
one of
a-
those positions you're going to draft, it's left tackle.
Left tackle,
That's the
because then
position
you
go.
got him under a
And it's
controlled
cheap. Yep,
contract. for
cheap.
Yes.
Cheap.
Now here, I hope that's best case scenario. The Bears win 5 or 6 games. At this point, that is best case scenario. The Bears win 5 or 6 games, get a great draft pick, can get that left tackle. They fire Eberflus and they move on to a better head coach. And then we start this shit over because, this season is done. Guys,
my God.
I don't see what they did yesterday and think that we still have a chance this season. That was the New England Patriots, the worst team in the league that they
Justin.
looked awful against. They looked worse than the Patriots, guys.
Justin,
by a
you
lot,
just-
not by a little.
You just made them sound like a competent organization. You know none of that will happen.
It's best case scenario, Sean. It's best case scenario.
Yeah, Sean, we have to hope. We can't just
Banking
give up
on
hope,
it
or
is
there's no
like-
point to this.
It's
Kyle, I've been
I think-
hoping now for 30 years 46 of them.
Sean, there's no point to this podcast if you're like, well, they're just going to fuck it up and they're going to suck and they're going to be the worst team.
Let's just talk about movies.
Hey, you know what? You guys can be the positive energy. I'll be the negative boat.
I think they still.
Oh, here, Sean. Fuck this team. This team does not deserve our respect. This team does not deserve our attention. This team does not deserve to have our Sundays monopolized by them. Everyone
Mondays,
listening.
Wednesdays, Thursdays.
Yeah, fuck this team. They don't deserve anything we give them. And we said this last week. We are in an abusive relationship with the Chicago Bears franchise. They're an abusive partner, and they don't deserve us, but we keep coming back to them, and we don't know why.
I'll never
Brennan,
leave.
what do you got, Brennan?
You know why? Because it's in my blood.
It's close to show.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I've cut off family before, man. I'm close to cutting this Bears team off. Fuck. Oh,
you know what? I can at least get a transfusion.
Brennan, what do you got, man?
Get some blue and silver in the blood.
No.
I think if they fire Waldron this week and promote Thomas Brown or whomever it may be, Joseph, I think
Flus is fine.
This team can at least win 7 games.
Hey, boys.
Where's the applause, Sean, for the 7 games?
Dustin and Brennan both got them with potential winning 7 games.
6 to 7 games is
because of the talent. Because of the talent on this team.
Brennan and Dustin both said. Dustin said they're capable of winning.
They're going to win 7 games this year.
7 wins.
They're going to win
Stockholm syndrome. Aunt Mass just defined what I described as Stockholm syndrome.
Hold on. You guys think they're going to win 7 games this year?
Stockholm syndrome, where you kind of fall in love.
No, yeah, you will start relating with the people who are holding you hostage. Yeah. What's the other one with the mom where they make you sick all the time? And is that Munchausen syndrome? It's more like Munchausen syndrome than Stockholm syndrome.
Did you just make that shit up, dude?
No, that's a real thing.
It's called Munchausen.
Hey, yeah. Dustin, Brandon, you guys.
Anybody else getting it? Munchausen?
You guys think the Bears are still going to win 7 games this year?
I said best case scenario in terms of what they can pull off in terms of wins.
You honestly think that though?
6 or 7 is probably where they fall. The games go weird ways. Balls bounce weird ways.
I agree with that. The NFL.
They don't go weird ways for the Bears. They don't.
Sean, they are supposed to get Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones back. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, guys, with all that being said, we just played a game without our 2 starting left tackles, and the starting left guard went out. Doug Kramer was playing left guard in that game. Matt, you had to change multiple positions in order to fill one position going into that game. It was just impossible, guys. It was
impossible.
I believe, Sean, I believe this. Their defense is still good.
Okay.
No matter who they're playing. Their defense is still going to do what they do. They did it again this week. 19 points.
Bouncing your mouth from
for as many possessions as the Patriots got, as long as they had the ball. I don't know what the time possession was, but for as many possessions as the Patriots had, some short field. This defense is still going to keep them in games.
They're going to keep them in games, sure, but they can't score. If you can't score, you can't win.
That's why I said I think if they
here's a quick question. We did this a couple of weeks ago. Let's do this really quick before we wrap it up because you guys got to jump over to CSP here. Next 3 games, that team up north, the Queens and the Lions. What's the Bears' record?
0-3. Brandon thinks they're going to beat the Packers.
What's that?
Next 3
games. Asked what's the record over the next 3 divisional games?
That team up north,
Packers,
the Queens,
Vikings, Lions.
and the Lions. Bears record.
I'll say 1-2.
I'm with you too. 0-3.
Yep, it's not going to be pretty.
If they do win a game, it's going to be Malik Willis and the Packers. If they win a game, that's the game they have to win. That's it.
Here, Kyle, I'm with you. If by
they're not
some
beating the Vikings and they're not beating the Lions, I can tell you that shit.
Is this another Judah?
The Vikings,
not really Hank Aaron, guys.
The Vikings are going to sack Caleb Williams like 36 times. They're going to sack him like 25 times.
Sack who?
The Vikings are going to sack Caleb Williams like 25 times.
Oh, yeah. Minnesota's going to absolutely
Judah Tribe's got like 25 aliases.
Here, I'll tell you this, Kyle. Their only chance against Minnesota would be maybe a wet turf in Chicago. That's about it. That might help them.
0-6 in the NFC North. Yeah. Caleb sucks. Thanks, Judah Tribe, or not really.
Hey, not really Hank Aaron. I'm kind of with you with everything except for Caleb sucks.
Yeah, no, I think Caleb needs to be the focus for the rest of the season, Sean. Not winning football games. It needs to be developing Caleb and keeping him from cementing these bad habits that he's showing and coaching them out of him. And I think that starts with firing Waldron. I think we're going to see tomorrow some news come across that Waldron is no longer calling plays for the Chicago Bears. I think that's what we will see.
Thank God.
So that was a great way to wrap up the show. Well said. Yep. The rest of the season is about Caleb Williams' development and getting this coaching staff as far away from him as you possibly can.
Unfortunately, they're more worried about.
I don't give a shit about
jobs.
what they win in the next 3 games. I give a shit about if Caleb Williams tears his ACL because he's running for his life for the 50th time in the first quarter.
If Caleb starts showing progression in positive ways, in terms of moving the ball down the field,
getting the ball out of his hand quickly.
Yes,
quickly.
Really
and you guys, by the way, if Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright come back and tackle next week, guess what? This is the line they expected.
They're still going to allow 25 sacks.
This is the line they expected going into the season minus Nate Davis. It's going to be Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins.
Tevin Jenkins is hurt, bro. Who knows if he's going to play? I don't think Tevin Jenkins is going to play.
They're saying he could have come back in that game. That's what they were saying this morning. So they say you have those two. You have Coleman Shelton, you got Ryan Bates, and you got Darnell Wright. This is the 5 they promised us would be good. So.
Well, they haven't played a fucking game together, so now we need 6 games for them to get acclimated to each other. By then, the season's over. On to replacing our entire offensive line.
Hey,
good.
Really quick.
Take it easy, Tevin. Take it easy, Coleman. Take it easy, Ryan. Get the fuck out of Chicago. Don't come back.
We got to put a bow on this thing for this week. Really quick.
It was a great show, guys. Thanks to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, thanks to everybody in the chat. Dustin, you want to read off those names that
awesome,
want to chat up?
We had Not Really Hank Aaron, Breaking News Bruce, Franco Pauletti, Kyle Harris, Ant Mass, Chris O. New Time was for the first time I saw in here. Zach Lipsy. Who was the other one? We had Independent Aquaman, Kelly Jordan,
Franco,
Iris Garcia, Bear Down Mike. I mean, a lot of cool. Dan Blakemore, Dan
Iris, Kelly.
Darius Lockhart. I mean, a lot of cool new people in the. Oh yeah, Turd Ferguson. Can't forget him. Turd Ferguson, one of my favorites.
The pack still suck. Harris. Kyle Harris.
Hey, I want to say thank you to everybody.
Thanks to everyone. Like and subscribe.
Who subscribed during the show.
And you guys, real quick, thanks to River Street Tavern and Ideal Amusements. That's our two sponsors.
Just about to get there to those guys right now. And don't forget, we got
Dennis Moody.
We got Kyle and Brandon jumping over to CSP. And this Wednesday, Kyle and I looks like we're going to be a little bit late getting on the air. I think we're going to be doing an early 5:15, 5:30 college basketball show, and then we'll flip over into our Chicago Bears preview show. We will have a special guest, college basketball beat writer Michael Vernon will join the show. We'll throw him in the hot seat, see what he's got cooking for college basketball preview. So if any of you guys here now love college basketball, come check us out. It's something we're going to try and stay on for the rest of the year. And you got Dustin and Brandon Thursday night for the bare minimum. After you guys do it every week at 11:30 now.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been doing it every week at 11:30.
11:30. I always tell everyone after the football game.
After the Thursday night, yeah, it's always 11:30. Yeah.
11:30. Check them out. Burn the midnight oil with these guys. Thank you,
Come
River.
check us out, guys.
Yeah, we love to have fun on that show and get down with the chat.
Sean, you got one more thing to say?
I do. It's fired up.
Anything you want to get out there before you wrap up?
Shit. Fuck Green Bay.
All right. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even though I'm taking the Bears to get their ass kicked by the Packers, God, please give me an early Christmas gift and somehow make them a competent football team next week to be able to beat this shithole team from up north.
Hey, maybe they don't have Jordan Love, and that now they've looked good with Malik Willis, and they've still been able to win games with Malik Willis.
He's 2-0, man.
And this Bears team is just not good. Offensively, they're just really bad. They're pathetic. They're embarrassing. It's awful. So, it's hard to bet on the Bears winning, but yeah. Who knows?
Oh yeah, in case anybody was wondering, in case you feel like you're missing something, this Dolphins-Rams game is like watching paint dry, guys.
Oh, hey, I got the Dolphins +7. What's the score?
It's 10-0 Dolphins, but
it's 10-0 Dolphins?
Tua Tagovailoa going with 10 minutes left in the second quarter has 60 passing yards, and Matthew Stafford has 28.
It would
Oh,
be
it's gotta
weird.
get better. It's been a
Who didn't-
weird week.
Who
It's
didn't
been a
predict
weird
the
week
Who
in
didn't
the
predict
NFL,
the
man.
defensive showdown between the Dolphins and the Rams?
Hey, I got the
joke.
Dolphins. So like if they pull that off, I actually hit one of my parlays this week. It was an awful week. I got my ass beat this entire
Dude,
week.
I went 3 for 7 this week, and not good.
Oh my
Not
God.
I
good.
won.
Not good.
Anyways,
Hey, early line. Bears are 6-point dogs at home.
Well,
All
test
right,
on the
let's
Rams.
stretch that out to minus to plus 14 maybe, and
Maybe.
maybe we'll have a chance to cover.
Here, you guys want to hear how bad this is? Tua Tagovailoa, since I brought up my phone, threw an interception. The Rams came on the field. Kyron Williams fumbled. Give it right back to the dog. I mean, this game is
Oh
absolutely
my
atrocious.
God, Kyron Williams.
Atrocious.
All right, we
dude.
got to hurry up and go watch that game. So
All right, guys.
Everybody,
Appreciate
peace
all you guys,
and
man.
bear down.
thanks to everybody,
Bear
guys.
down.
Bear down. You guys were awesome tonight. You're the
Yep.
stars of the show.
Fire everyone.
Fire
Go
everyone.
Bears.
Don't fire
thanks, guys.
Next week. Come
Thanks
back
for hanging
next
out
week.
with us.
Fire us.